Awesome. Welcome, everyone. We are now into the 5th segment of the 24-hour data engineering and data AI live today. At the beginning of this 5th segment, we have a really special guest. We have Mehdi. Mehdi is a data engineering creator. You got pretty big on YouTube. You have a podcast too. I remember I did a very random
I
I did
haven't
one
been
with you,
consistent. Yeah,
right?
I haven't been consistent on the podcast,
Yeah.
but I do have a YouTube channel which I'm trying, my personal YouTube channel. I'm trying to be consistent, and then the the company channel I'm working for. But how are
Yeah.
you feeling, Zach, so far?
I mean, I'm getting there, dude. I feel alive. I mean, because one of the things is like I learned that man can live on vibes alone, right? Like, right? That the energy and the vibes of freaking everyone in here that
Yeah.
who's been talking. Like, okay. Oh, I have an interesting statistic for you about podcasts. So, they say that like if you want to be in the top 90% of podcasts, right, you need to make 5 episodes, right?
Yeah.
And if you want to be in the top 1% of podcasts, you need to make 20 episodes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
So,
not that much.
yeah, but hear me out. Hear me out. Like, what if you do 24 episodes in one day?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's
Like,
true.
and then I realized I was like, wait a minute. Like, dude, this might be a great way. I guess one of the things that like I have been very surprised by with my own life, my own stuff here, is that I am like loving this way more than I thought I would. Loving every minute of it, loving all this stuff that like in a way that's just been really, really amazing. And really, really like, I mean, the support and connection from all the people here has been really great. And like, I mean, so like how have you been? How is the Alps, man? Like you said you're in the Alps. Like
Yeah, I mean they are just momentary because I'm moving out from Berlin to go back to Belgium, Brussels.
nice.
So coming back for mostly family because that's my old town initially.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been doing great. A lot of things around TechDB because that's most of part of my work, and then just regular content also on my side. But I feel like these past like 6 months to a year has been drastically changing with like within my workflow with AI. Like that's the topic of today. But I feel like that's the biggest takeaway I would say. I mean,
Mhm.
aside from life happening and move, that I feel it's a completely different situation than what we had like 2 years ago, like the first long podcast after the Data AI Summit in
Yeah.
2023. So just to give context, GPT-4 was barely out, like 1 or 2 months, and Cursor is his first release, but it's like nobody knows it.
Mhm.
Um, and so it's just crazy, right? How, like, if you remember, I think GPT-4 was kind of like the first big boom where it started to get mainstream and people using it, more than just for play.
Yeah.
And if you look like now, like it's been just moving so fast. It's insane.
It's really insane like how fast the like all this stuff's going. I mean, I love it because like as an entrepreneur where I'm like who I can make sales, and then like the AI makes the experience better.
Yeah.
It's amazing, man. Like maybe I should pitch you on the live right now. So I'm building a platform right now called Tech Creator, right? And Tech Creator is the whole idea is you can build. So say you want to build a technical course, right? Something that maybe a data engineering course. I'm focusing on people in particular who want to teach in the cloud, right? And that it can be anything in the cloud though, just like in the cloud. Like, and I'm prioritizing right now Databricks, Snowflake, and AWS. Those are the 3 kind of
Mhm.
things I'm prioritizing. But like the whole idea is like it allows for students to get easy timed access in the cloud and like budgeted access to the cloud, and then it will just manage that for you. So you don't have to like even think about like, oh, is this student gonna like spin up some sort of crazy job or some sort of like problem? It's like, no, it just won't let them do that, right? It will like
sandboxing environment is sometimes
it's
sometimes a bit
beautiful.
hard because you don't want to have a bad experience for the students, right? Like, well, this is fucking slow. And at the same time, you don't want to burn your credit card because, you know, one student out of like hundreds made a really
it's always like
bad
1
mistake.
in 500. So 1 in 500 students racks
1 in
up.
500.
One in 500 students will rack me up a $5,000 bill, right? Because they're like, whoops,
Jesus.
I freaking did. Like, they'll do like cross join, and it's like, bro, like, you're gonna Cartesian product my ass to poverty.
So less than 1%. It's crazy.
Yeah, right. Oh yeah, it's like, yeah, it's definitely less than 1%. Like, because when I look at my students, I'm like, because in my experience, you know, in 2 years, right, I've taught 2,500 students have gone through my boot camp in 2 years, right? And I have had like 3 incidents where someone has racked up a bill that cost me more than their tuition, more than their $2,500 that they paid me. Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, and I'm like, thanks guys. Like, and so I've learned a lot from that stuff. I've learned a lot about just like, okay, this is not like, you know, this is like kind of crazy where things are going. But like, I mean, and then like, that is definitely the space. Like, so like, how do you think AI has been changing your workflow though? Like, I mean, that's definitely a big thing that I think people are like really nervous about, and they're really trying to like learn to, you know, stay up to speed. Right.
Yeah. I think you can easily burn out, like especially like these past 2 weeks. It's just like if you keep like saying I want to be on the edge of the new model going out, even if it's actually better, I think it's like for sanity, it's just good to kind of like slow down and step back to say no, to kind of like revisit your workflow every 2 or 3 months if it's moving too fast. Because otherwise you're changing your tool set like every week and you're not getting anything done, right?
Yeah.
So that's the first thing that I realized. But the second is like I've been building like a lot of like small mini projects, and those projects were really just not possible with my existing knowledge. So I have like good web knowledge, like around React, TypeScript, and the web dev environments. But the thing is, like, if you ask me to build a specific app nicely, designed, like it's gonna take me age. And that was like because like I'm not in the weeds daily, right?
Yeah.
And I think like this is where basically if you have some foundation, like it's different from all the people doing, Lovable or everything, say just prompting, right? It's like it's in between where you cannot know what you're doing, but it's like it's generating much more fast. And so yeah, there's stuff that I've done. Let me share a review. Actually, like this one was really fun. It's mixing AI was for April Fool. So it's downloading all the model locally, and maybe I can show my screen actually.
Wait, yeah, you should be able to share your screen.
Okay, wait. I'm gonna share.
Quack to SQL?
Yeah, Quack to SQL. that like I spent quite some time, engineering this, and it works, but you have to quack. So that's the sad thing. Okay, you seeing my screen? So the first thing is happening is that you download the model locally using Transformer.js, and it's leveraging your web GPU. So now it's downloading the model, and everything is processed in the browser, right?
Okay.
So now you see he's picking up my my signal, and if I click record and I do quack, 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 you see it generating SQL in real time, right? I have a quackometer right there, right? Quack, quack, quack. So that's really like the most important project I've done this past month. No, I'm kidding. No, but like the coming back more seriously, it is. I wouldn't be able to build such a app it was for April Fool, right?
Dude, is this going? But like, okay, hold up though. Like, this is like the most amazing demo for like the mother ducking party. You know what I mean? Like this is like this is this is like the AI summit mother ducking party example, bro. Like for sure, for sure. Like I
I'm
love
gonna do
it.
a spin-off. I'm gonna raise, some fun just for this, right? No, but the thing is, like, so technically, this app is not easy to build, right? If
Yeah.
you're not comfortable with web, because it's mixing, Transformer JS, Web GPU, and
Hmm.
just so really a bit of data. How do you handle it? Of course, the generating SQL is just wrong, right?
Hmm.
Um, but it was super quick, actually quick for me. Like I spent like roughly 1 or 2 days to like fine tune everything and make it on brand for Motherduck, and that would
Yeah.
never been possible with AI. And that's the thing, which is beauty, is that if you have base foundation on certain things,
Yeah.
not just prompting, you know what you're doing, you can
Hmm.
be really, really dangerous today. I think like a lot of people online, there is a lot of AI influencers saying you can build this app with just no code.
With
But
vibe.
actually, if you
Right.
can code and
Mm.
you know some basic, you don't need to be a rock star, then you can be much more dangerous with such project. And another one after we stop with like tech stuff, I promise. But I
Yeah.
can show you also. I think it was a game. You're still seeing my screen, right? So this one, else again. So you just put your name, yeah, like
Hmm.
is king. There is also beautiful sound, by the way. You're
Yeah,
not
that
going
was.
to hear the sound, but you need to guess which one is the fake duck, right? So there is the real duck generated and fake one. So this one is fake.
Yeah.
So I get 1 point. Every time I get the sound of quack, there is a sound of quack every time I get
Yeah.
it right.
I think,
So this one, and the goal is to go to
dude,
go the much faster. I'm not
dude,
sure
you're
about this
so
one.
good. Like,
Okay, so like
ooh, got him. So you only get one life. Like,
yeah. Is that you
okay.
have to done as fast as possible in 30 seconds,
Mhm.
dude. I had
What's your high
people.
score? I bet you've done
Wait,
like a
wait, wait, wait.
nine.
There is a leaderboard, but there is people
Yeah.
that play like 80 times
Yeah.
this game. I can feel. So we made some prize and so on, but again, just like to coming back to the AI topic,
Mhm.
that was really fun to do. And again, I would be much hard for me. Like I know my knowledge around data, so I had to generate like hundreds of fake duck picture. I
Mhm.
had to find real hundreds of duck picture. Uh, so like this kind of process is really data engineering, right? You get some
Yeah.
data, and then like the last
Dude.
mile, as I said, like this one is actually really hard for a data engineer, like building a simple web app like this.
Yeah.
It is pretty hard, but it was a super fun game. And so all those projects I've built them like in the past 6 months,
Dude.
and I have tons of idea. I have tons of crazy idea. And so this is what got me the most excited, I
Dude,
think, today about
if
AI.
yeah, if one of my students delivered this as their capstone, like they'd get certified for sure. Like this is like, I mean, it's good enough, man. It's definitely like well, it has like a UX. It's like a game. This
Exactly.
provides business value. All right. You're
Yeah.
straight up like, I mean, mother duck, right? This is branding. This is like, I mean, like in like it's quirky and like it's bringing people in, it's like it's a very interesting combination of like
Yeah.
it's kind of like an ad. It's also kind of like a I don't know. It's very intriguing to me, like because it's not really if you think about it from like another perspective. Have you heard of Build Club?
Built?
Build Club.
No. No.
So
What
they're
is
like
it?
an AI. They're like an AI. It's like a gamified AI platform, and like they have one where like what it is they show you an AI image.
This
Uh,
one?
yes, this one. And so
Okay.
they have a I don't know, it's somewhere in here that I haven't used it very much, but they have like they have a gamified thing where like they'll show
Ah,
you
yeah. I
an
see.
AI image, and then
Okay.
you are supposed to guess the prompt that generated that image, right?
Yeah. I
And I'm
think there
like
was
that's
a
pretty
dedicated
cool.
website for this. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
To
right. And like, I mean, it's pretty cool. Like, I mean, and I guess what you just showed me with like the fake duck versus real duck, it kind of, I guess it reminded me of that a little bit because it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is, right?
No, there's ton of stuff. Like the more AI is getting better with the videos and so on, I get even more ideas now. But yeah, and like to go outside the deck a bit. So this is what I built personally, and this is creating a newsletter basically for you. For the moment, you cannot really customize. I just watch R data engineering, R SQL, and then machine learning, and
Mm-hmm.
every week you get like a summary of the top submission, right? So this
Mm-hmm.
is like last week, and you get like a summary, a topic, and the number of votes, and you can dive. So it's just like to kind of avoid me to spend too much time on Reddit and scrolling, right? It's like I get
Yeah,
a
well, and
weekly
it probably
newsletter.
like kind of filters out or gets it kind of squashes down like the toxicity, dude. I don't know, like
Yes, exactly. I had to prompt that. I had
yeah,
to prompt that when I iterate. Or
yeah,
sometimes I get a comment which is like just a troll. So there is literally in the prompt for
yeah,
summary,
like
do not
filter out the trolls,
be
right?
distracted to troll and toxicity. So yeah, and again, like this project is pure data engineering pipelines. Like you ingest like Reddit's comments and
Mm-hmm.
top submission, and then after there is the AI part, which is not that crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is again UX experience, like the business value. And as a data engineer, it's pretty hard again, but like I could build like this decent websites without too much difficulties.
Mm-hmm.
And now my next step with this one would be that anyone can create any newsletter based on a subreddit. Like you pick up
Mm-hmm.
which subreddit you want to follow, and
Mm-hmm.
then you get a weekly there. What is funny also, some stats is that I don't have that much newsletter subscriber on this. There is a bit more, I think, than 300,
Mm-hmm.
but the open rate is 45 to 50%,
Dude,
and it's AI generated. They know it. So
that's goaded. That's freaking like,
yeah,
I
and
mean,
so
because you're like, I have a 50% newsletter open rate, and I
that's
don't even write
great.
anything, right? It's just all like, ChatGPT has a 50% newsletter open rate. That's, geez, man,
Yeah,
that's really
yeah.
good.
So it's just to say that like content curation and so on. I think there's a lot of opportunity there. That like if you think about the problem where that basically people have right now, they're just drowning into news and into information. And I think if you can curate that would be great. But what do you think? What do you think? Is the first part of data engineering job that's going to be disappearing with AI?
I mean, that's a great question. I think there's a bunch that are, I mean, Cursor's really good, man. Like, I mean, like, have you ever done like a thing where you say like what you do is you give ChatGPT, you're like, here are my input schemas, apply this pattern with these schemas, and then give me an Airflow pipeline that applies this pattern with these schemas, and you just give it that context. Like
Yeah, so
it
I've
it
done even further. I've
yeah
done it even further. I
yeah yeah
don't give the schema.
yeah. It's pretty good.
The-
It's honestly, even without the schema, it's pretty. I mean,
I
because it's
give
like
I have the MCP, which
yeah
is connected to DynaDB, which can access the data,
yeah
could be on S3 or whatever, and
yeah
it get the schema there. And so my instruction is get the schema using the MCP
yeah
whenever I'm asking something. Like do not, you know, uh, invent or assume the schema.
yeah. The
Don't be a
actual
junior data engineer.
it's very interesting. You know what I find so crazy about a lot of this stuff though, that's like so bizarre but also so full circle, is like I also don't believe that we need AI for this. Like it's like,
Yeah,
because like at the end of the day, the number of pipeline patterns, like the number of actual different ways that you're supposed to aggregate and accumulate and create different data pipelines,
yeah,
there's like 7, like maybe 10, right? But the thing is like open, AI is like, no, like we want it to be open ended, right? We want, and
yeah.
like like, so at the end of the day, okay, if it's open ended, then that's like another way that things can work, right? But like I find it to be interesting because at Facebook, right, 10 years ago, at Facebook, right?
Yeah.
They had this framework called Milky Way, where in Milky Way, what it was you describe the schema, and then it's a Python API, applies the pattern, and it's like table.apply pattern, and then it gives you the pipeline, right? And like one of the things is like I'm like, okay, and like I guess like some of these things that like AI is doing now in a more flexible way, right? In a more like non-deterministic, flexible way, big tech has been doing for 10 years in via APIs, right? And via like, you know, Python libraries and via Python code, right? And so like, I think part of it is like, I think that, yeah, we are definitely moving into a space where like there is a lot more of like, you know, the actual writing of the code, the actual like that piece of it is getting more commoditized. I don't know if like necessarily if that's the very first piece to go though, right? Because like, if I want to be more narrow, because that's kind of a very broad, you know, coding is a very broad topic. I think that there's certain areas of code that like are even more vulnerable than others, right? Like when I think about that, I think about like, you know, like I think like data quality checks, for example, are pretty like you can pump that in. Like it's like, have you tried that before? You're like, okay, here's a table with a little bit of business context. Give me what quality checks you think are right.
Yeah.
And it's going to get you pretty much, it gets you 80% of the way there, maybe even 90% of the way there. Right.
I think it would be optimized to at the destination where you know, pushing the data. Like today you have, you know, like if you think of it, a database used to be heavily managed, right? You had the DBA for performance and index. And now like Superbase give you like information about tuning automatically, what do you need to do. And, you know, I think in the future, you're going to have all that database that say, hey, you should put those, I detect those quality issue in your table set. Like they do automatic recommendation, right? Or you put your data on history and automatically, you know, it sets a park and they run a bunch of quality tests for you. You know, they look at the ensemble of data and they send you warning or what you should put. So I think that indeed, definitely that's going to be automate. But as you said, like the challenge here, I think, is that I don't think coding is going to disappear anytime soon, because the problem is that English is way too wide to express things, right? Sometimes you need to be like, I was chatting with someone this week and he mentioned a really good example where with time, for example. So he said, I want to get the revenues of the last 3 days. Okay, from which hour? Do you want to include the today? Today is not complete, right? So do you want to actually set up to the time you put your request to 3 days? And like there's all those variants. And if you don't tell them in English, you know, it's gonna interpret it maybe something. But in SQL, it's really hard to be, you know, abstract like this. You're gonna see it in the code in one line, like, okay, what exactly the filter has been, right? So that's thing. I think we're gonna have like most of the code generated, but still need to, if you need to fix or, you know, adjust things, it's probably going to the code and human.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I love it. I mean, I and that was definitely like, I remember I had a very viral post on LinkedIn about this, about how like SQL is precise, right?
Yeah.
And like it defines a very specific set operation. And English is inherently not precise, right? And so it's like if you're trying to map an imprecise language, it's interesting because going the other way around, like, so for example, if you have a SQL query and you want an LLM to describe what a SQL query does in English, it can do that perfectly because it's going from precise to imprecise. You can go that direction, right? It's kind of like the whole, like, you know, all squares are rectangles.
Yeah.
But not all rectangles are squares, right? You can't go the other way. You can't go the other way because now you're taking a vague language and trying to map it onto a non-vague language. And yeah, I'm with you on that there's like and there's too many caveats and too many like, and because that's exactly the type of query that they would want, is give me the sales for the last 3 days. Like,
on top of that, which is critical.
And it's like, that is literally the business query user. That's what they're going to do. That's 100% what they're going to do. And so like, I mean, I'm totally with you on that. I'm totally with you on this whole thing of like, okay, like how are we kind of going through and um, getting all this stuff to work, you know? So,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's crazy. It's like
And the,
it's a weird world out there now, you know?
yeah,
Like,
but another thing a bit weird, and I think people are underestimated, is that I feel most of data engineers today build for humans. So
mhm,
they build for like people making decision, or
mhm,
sometimes like automated process. But like those automated process, ML model are still like pretty restricted in terms of their decision, right? And I think in the future we're gonna build more for AI. So I think one example is that I've been doing developer documentation too for Motherdeck, and you can see I think it's Carpati, right? He puts. Let me actually
mhm.
put this tweet somewhere. Let me share my screen for a sec.
Yep.
Um, so Carpati put this tweet. Let me zoom. So LLM don't like to validate. LLMs they like to script. They don't like to see.
Mhm,
And so elaborate doc page for your product, fancy color, weird one single dot with MD file and copy. So it's the llms.txt
mhm,
new norm. So this is like the new standards for documentation and websites to provide, basically web-friendly content for LLM to scrape. Because
mhm,
if you think of it, I believe that most of people like it's growing really fast. Looking at the documentation, they go through ChatGPT, Claude, or whatever. They're not going to the website, right?
mhm,
So how do you make sure you optimize for that? Well, you had these LM.txt, and so a lot of them as LM.txt, like Superbase, for example. So they have all those links. So for example, if you take the JavaScript reference, so you have one markdown file always updated. You see, it's a
mhm,
long markdown file, and so you can just put that link or in any LLM, cursor or whatsoever, and it gets you updated docs directly. And I think that's the future. That's where people are going to consume the documentation. They're not going to go to your documentation website and try to navigate. They're going to ask a question to an LLM,
mhm.
which going to answer. And so that's the weird thing and kind of paradox is that I'm building manually documentation that
Mhm.
serve AI, which serve you, right?
Right.
And I think for pipeline also, think of it. It's like if you need to build like specific metrics, like let's say revenue matrix, I'm sure they're gonna be an interface of AI that has access to these metrics, and you're just feeding this AI. You're
Yeah.
not feeding anymore a dashboard that is visualized by a human. You're feeding directly the AI, and so the people is gonna ask, okay, what's the revenue the past 3 days, and they get on the back end from data that you've been feeding. And I think
Mhm.
if you think of it like this, you have to change a bit your like the way that you operate. It's a bit the story of Neon and the acquisition from Databricks. I don't know if
Mhm.
you saw the blog. Did you see
Yeah.
the blog?
Yeah, yeah. It's a freaking very interesting acquisition for sure. Like,
But so they mention that this.
mhm,
So AI agent create 5 more time database than humans on the on.
mhm,
So who should be optimize it for from a revenue perspective? Do you optimize for human or
mhm.
do you optimize for AI? But at
Right.
the end, those AI are serving human, right? So
Yeah.
this is like where it start to be a bit of a Black Mirror thing where it's a bit hard to kind of know how you want to optimize. But I think it is happening. What do you think we could optimize in that way? That serve an AI service in data engineering.
Right. No,
Where
that's an interesting question. Like of like where like I mean there's a lot there. Like the documentation's an interesting one because I've always wondered about like data documentation of like in that same space that you're talking about, where it's like,
Mhm.
what is this data set? What is where is it coming from? Like, and like, can an LLM give me more? And like, this is very interesting because it's like nowadays it's almost like, or like it seems like if we do it right, you can almost be like, you can have lineage and everything just be like what's the, give me the data, give me the information about this table, boom, and then it just gives you like everything that you need to know, right? I mean,
yeah.
very
No,
interesting.
so I think it's gonna be. I think the next coming years, if data companies just in general don't optimize for LLM and AI workflow, like to serve them, like in that sense. But it's really hard because like the first thing you do, like you have your own company, right? It's like, who are my users? Like what is the persona? But then now you need to think, wait a minute, my persona is not a human, it's it's an LLM. So what kind of prompts my
Yeah.
persona is gonna do to the AI that should
Yeah.
be triggers my
So it's
services?
like all your persona has like a layer on top, right? It's like, it's almost like the agent is a new, like, it's like an iPhone in some ways, right? Where
Yeah,
it's like, it's like my persona is someone who is accessing my data via this pattern, right? Which might be
yeah,
like on an iPhone in a certain space. So it adds like another layer of dimensionality to like the access patterns that like I like. But it's complicated though as well, because it's like, if it's acting autonomously, then it's like, is it in service of the user at what time, right? It's like, because that might not be something that's like a chat bot, right? It might be something that's like a cron job or something like that as
yeah,
well, right? That's like, and because then that's not really like, just ultimately going back to the user. It might be asynchronously going back to the user like once a month,
yes, exactly,
and
yeah,
that's where it's freaking complicated for sure. That's
yeah.
then you're almost like, is my user like a cron job? Like, like I don't know. It's
Yeah. No, if you want to be pessimistic, yeah, that
Mhm.
could be depressing. But to be honest, I worked for a decade in data engineers, and I had really good stakeholder and
Mhm.
really bad stakeholder,
Mhm.
and I wish some of the bad stakeholder was just cron job.
Yeah,
They're
right.
deterministic. I can, I can look at the log. I can understand what's wrong, right? No, right?
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. I wish all my stakeholders were or I wish all my bad stakeholders were cron jobs. That's freaking, dude. That's rich. That's, dude. That
I
might be
mean, I
might
guess
be one of the hottest takes of this whole live.
you can tweet that.
Yeah.
But I think no, but seriously, like it is what it is. I think um, some people are really hard to express their needs, right?
Mhm.
And just I think at least software and programming are.
Mhm.
I guess you had that when you were a staff engineer, where you have meetings and projects and you have to coordinate certain things,
Mhm.
which are hard. But like just getting a ticket to
Mhm.
fix a bug, or it's much more rewarding, because I'm like, okay, I know what's the problem. I
Yeah.
know I don't need to talk to
I don't have to
like 10
debate,
people.
right? The problem is
Exactly.
defined, and all I have to do is freaking do a debate, right? Or I mean, I don't have to debate it, right? So it's freaking, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I love, and like, I mean, that's one of the things I guess like I always felt like, for me, like I had the most joy in my career when I was a junior data engineer. I think for that
Yeah.
exact reason is because like all the problems are defined, and like you can empirically just win without a debate. You don't have to like fight people to
Yeah.
like get your win, right? Like, and like I don't know,
Yeah.
there's a side of that that's like, I guess there's like, and this also freaking serves joy, so definitely, like, it's freaking,
Jaco said in the comment, all my stakeholders are nested airflow dives.
dude,
Yeah.
dude,
That's
dude, that's whew. Oh, that's what they call, that's a hot take right there, dude. I mean, that's an IKEA take for sure. Like,
No, but I think it's true. It's really, yeah. It is gonna change also the way basically that you operate and you serve. Like I think that's the most underrated thing I think with AI today and data, is that people say, "Oh yeah, I need to update my workflow, being more productive," but they don't think, who are you serving? Are you change like is your master changing?
yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
and I think that's the biggest switch
Dude,
I think it's gonna
that
happen.
is so good. I mean, like, you know what's interesting about that? Like, it comes back to like one of my like, it's one of the quotes that I have, I guess, about data engineering, which is like the only thing better than optimized is deleted. Right? Because it's like, because it comes back to like Elon Musk says this a lot, where he's like, there's a lot of really smart people who are optimizing algorithms that they shouldn't even be working on, right? And that there's like this that there's this space in there's this like, and I mean, sometimes I wonder with a lot of this AI stuff where it's like, because there hasn't been like a lot of big massive wins here except for maybe Cursor and Windsurf, like in this space where it's like, I mean, and there's just so many people promising the moon and promising.
We're still early. We're still early.
Yeah, it's definitely still early, and I think that like there's like 100% that like that, and but sometimes it's like, I know that like if you think about like how much like money and effort and energy that's been kind of like just straight up like wasted on some of this stuff, right, is interesting. It's a very interesting thing because it's like, oh, because it's the future, but it's like, I mean, at the same time, like maybe, right? I don't know, maybe it's like, or maybe just writing good code is the future, like I know like there's like a, like there's like it's sometimes I think that there's like this thing where people, it's a very similar kind of shiny object syndrome, right? Where it's like, yeah, like, it's similar, like, in data engineering, where it's like, everyone wants to do like a real-time pipeline, but the number of people who should do a real-time pipeline is actually not that many, right? It's actually like a very, very small percent of pipelines that actually should be real-time, right? And so it's like I've always wondered about that with AI, where it's like, okay, where are we having shiny object syndrome versus where are we like actually, changing things and actually moving the needle with things, right?
Okay, I keep tap on you because when we met 2 years ago, there is two things that you said like about the future of data engineering. It was REST, we killed the GVM.
Yeah.
And the second one was real-time data.
Yeah.
And I think like you're saying, yeah, like it's true that most of the people still today doesn't need it to.
Yeah.
But I do think if they changed what they serve, which is, an LLM, they're probably gonna need, more close to data, because they don't know when people are gonna look at things and what kind of data, or they need context. They need more context to say, here is the latest revenue, right, from the past 3 days. But by the way, I'm only updated since that time. So that's my knowledge.
There is like, I mean, so I gave a keynote like 2 months ago at Confluent Current. They have this big real-time data summit. And one of the things there is that they talk about like shift left, which is this whole idea of like, pushing the models forward, pushing the freaking data quality forward, and like, and having
upstream.
inference a lot more upstream is like an idea. And like, I think there is this idea where like, I think like that, like the other one, okay, the other prediction I made about Rust and JVM, like that is mostly complete, I feel like, but it's a little bit different in that, like, because with Databricks, right, they're like, we're using Photon now, right? They're all about it. They're like, we don't talk about Scala anymore. Like, like we're done with Scala. It's like, just use this C++ option. It's better, it's faster, it's, but like, I think for the real-time one, that one I think is, again, like probably like I would say it back to you that we are a little early for some of that stuff, because that like there, I think there will be more use cases there, but again, it comes back to like, but we will always have these like batch pipelines that process data once a day. That like I don't see that going away. I just don't see it, even with this AI enabled crazy world that we are moving to. I just don't see everyone moving to a Kappa architecture where we're processing everything in real time. It just feels like we're never going to get there. But
and it's expensive.
More,
like
right?
It's expensive. Like people, like I think also forget that even if like AI today is pretty cheap on the subscription, right? The investment behind is so huge. Like the number of data centers that are burning just for AI, right? And so if you had on top of that all streaming, you're really probably not efficient on your compute, right? So
oh yeah.
I mean, and I believe like we might have like a race, like at some point investors gonna need to cash out. I don't know. So either price is gonna go up, or we're gonna have like more, local compute and open source things. But I don't know. For me, it feels a bit weird that uh, we get access to certain technology so cheap,
Mm-hmm.
while it's burning so much money, on compute. So it is true that it's still like a one time like thing when you train a model, right? So that's the most expensive part. But still, I'm not sure. I agree with you in a way that if it's viable,
Mm-hmm.
for the futures to have, all streaming pipelines and everything. It's the same like today. Like
Yeah.
I think I had a project like this recently where I said, oh, I have some data quality issue in my data. I could actually ask LLM to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
It was simply it was kind of like a small data set, and it was basically to get the country. I needed to have the country code, and it was not correct. Like there was different convention, like 2 letters, 3 letters, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, oh, like that's an easy problem for LLM. But then that means like I really need to, send quite some requests. And isn't that like too expensive than just doing it myself with like,
Like a mapping.
workaround?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. And so that's kind of the reflection sometimes I have. It's like, do we, to your point with like, Fang doing stuff without without AI, and it works just fine. So
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes my take on that is that I think LM sometimes seems like the easiest way, but not like the most efficient, like,
Yeah, or
compute
the most
sides.
maintainable way. I guess there's like also
Yeah,
like I guess it comes back to like when people are like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna vibe code my startup," and then like like almost always the very first thing is like, "But what about security? What about da da da?" Right? What about?
yeah.
There's always like people who are poking holes and shit, right? And they're like, "What's going on here? What's going on there?" Right? I mean,
Oh
yeah,
yeah, and I had that like with the fake duck game.
yeah,
Someone acted like because there was quite a lot of people playing, and within 4 hours, I had like someone with like thousands of points at the leaderboard, and I'm like, there
mhm,
is no way that this guy found that many fake ducks, and he messaged me. He messaged me to say, hey, there is an exposing link
mhm,
that's like a loophole where you can have more points like that.
mhm,
And so I totally get it. Like, and I think like that's maybe one thing to upskills yourself as a data engineer is security, right? Because you
mhm.
expose to much more services, and how do you, like, if they are not human anymore, like to stay in the same team, like
Yeah,
how do you secure them? Because
mhm,
securing it a stakeholder is fairly easy, right? You take it out his computer and it's done.
yeah,
But but like a cron job,
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a little different, right? I mean, I
Yeah.
love that. I love that, dude. I mean,
If he still has access, like if the computer has access to your credit card, might
boom,
run over
dude. And then
time.
and then and then that the agent goes rogue and just like starts buying all sorts of candy and shit. Like, I mean, you never
Yeah.
know. Like, I mean, dude,
What
it's
are,
a
what are what are the AI workflow you've been using? You've been using Cursor a lot,
yeah, I
for your
love it. I
platform
mean,
and so on.
I don't really use it for like data engineering because I mean, I just haven't really been doing very much data engineering like overall. Like, I mostly been doing freaking. I mostly just do full stack development, TypeScript, right?
Yeah,
TypeScript, but it's very good for that. It's very good. I use it every damn time. I even tried things like I've kind of stress tested it just to see what it would do where like
hmm,
I asked it like because so Next.js how it has like the pages router and the app
yeah.
router. So
Brother, yeah.
I have a massive pages router app, which is
Okay,
I feel insecure about because I know that the app router is better. Everyone agrees that the app router is better, but I have a pages router app, but I don't want to change it because it's like 70 pages and it's just like I know I'm not going to get that much value out of moving, right?
yeah. It's gonna be
But
painful.
yeah, it's going
Some
to be
stuff are gonna
super
break.
painful. And so like what I was like I was wondering, I was like, can Cursor do this? Because I feel like that's right at the limit of Cursor where I'm like, all right, Cursor. And I asked Cursor, I'm like, convert my app from pages router to app router. And I just wanted to
Yeah,
see what the hell it would do. and it ate shit. It did not. It was bad. It did not do it. It could not do it. That was something, and I was like, we are not there yet. Like, I guess that, because I was like, if it could do that, if it could do like a major overhaul, like a major refactor and a major overhaul of an application, then I'm like, okay, yeah, we're fucked. Like,
Did
we're
you fit
done.
it with like latest docs or stuff like this?
Yeah, I mean, well, I figured it would know, like, what Next.js pages router is and Next.js app router is. I mean, there's probably some other like more like context
Subtle,
bounding
yeah.
that you could probably give it. I just wanted to see like what it would do. It was interesting. So what it did, right, was it did make all of the new app router components, but they
Okay.
were all empty. And I was
Yeah.
like, thanks, cursor. This is like, thanks for the 70 files that are useless. Like, great. Right. And then it didn't, like, then it kind of like failed to copy them over, because I kept being like, cursor, just copy it over, move the components over it. And it was like, nah, fam. And I was like, okay, I guess not. I guess so. It's like, it's one of those things where it's like, it's good, but it's not perfect yet. Even like especially like if you try to do, it's just like everything else with AI, where it's like,
Yeah.
it's great until you're trying to do something sufficiently complex, and then it kind of falls apart, right?
Yeah.
And
I think
yeah.
I think one thing that's gonna change a lot. We talked also during our interview is moving data,
Mm-hmm.
like just moving data from a database to another. I think with all the open table formats that hopefully get mature at some point. That's something where we, because like in terms of migration, like to your point with like the app router, like it's a migration problem, right? But if you have like good basic standards, like specific in data, like people supporting file format,
Mm-hmm.
I hope, I wish that we're not going to have to do data migration. I think we're
Mm-hmm.
still gonna have to do it to some extent with like schema, but like just basic to say, hey, I want to change SQL runtime, from X to Z,
Yeah.
and it just works. It just works. There is nothing to do. It's just a switch. Hopefully, we'll get there.
And that's, I mean,
Some point.
oh, dude. So we had another live, like, oh my God, this was now 13 hours ago, but it was during this live. All right. That's what, you know, what's unbelievable about doing this, even though it's insane, is I get to hear so many different opinions of people, all like back to back to back to back to back. And I
Yeah.
start to recognize these patterns, right? And so, do you know SQL Mesh?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So like, so we had Tobiko
Yeah.
Data,
Yeah.
those guys on, right? And they were talking about like SQL Mesh and SQL Glot and all this
Mhm.
stuff, right? And so those guys were amazing. And like, and what you're talking about, like where there's going to be that flip, right? That's going to be
Yeah.
the definitely like the, like where like you don't even have to write new SQL, right? It just
Yeah.
knows how to convert to the new dialect, right? And it's good to go, right? So definitely that's like all that stuff's on the horizon. Totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mehdi,
Yeah.
thank you so much for showing up today. I really appreciate your time
No,
here.
was fun. Was a long time since we actually. I mean, we've been
Yeah, it's
chatting
been
like
like
just
it's been like 2 years, man. It's
yeah,
been
like
like,
just in
yeah,
person and or like that. Yeah,
yeah.
it's been a long time. Are you coming
Okay.
to Europe anytime soon?
Probably at some point this year. I think I'm probably gonna go to London or Amsterdam or something.
Okay,
Like
please ping
probably,
me.
I'm guessing Q4. I'm guessing Q4. Like I have a lot over the next
Yeah,
couple
yeah.
months, but yeah, probably Q4. So for the first letter of the discount code, keep in mind this is actually a 60% off discount code this time, y'all. So the first letter of the discount code is Z. So by the end, when Jade finishes at 5 a.m., that's when you will know all 4 letters of the discount code, and you can get a good 60% off coupon on Data Expert. So excited for y'all to understand what it is. And it's not Zach. It's not Zach, I promise. Anyways, thank you so much,
The
Betty.
order.
Yeah, Z order. It's 4. I appreciate you. All right,
Yeah.
I'm taking a breather here. 5 minutes, y'all. I'll be
Cool.
back. We only got 6
See
more
you,
hours
Zach,
to go. Yeah, have a
and
good
good
one.
luck.
Yeah. Is there upload on YouTube? Yes. Yo, how y'all doing? Bye, Chaitanya Manos. We're getting through this. We got Alexi next. We got the Data Talks Club guy. I'm freaking pumped. Dude, we got 7 more hours, y'all. Can't believe we've done 17 hours of lives. We are like pulling through here. We're chugging along, chugga-wugga. And like we're gonna do great. Okay. Like the amount how to get a job in USA startups, bro. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't like I never immigrated, man. I don't like that's an Avantika question. Avantika knows, I would imagine. Like it's like startups are tricky though, right? Because it's like they might not be able to like sponsor you or whatever and do all those different things. But I need to do like some push-ups and shit. Oh, we gotta like I'm starting to feel it, guys. I'm starting to feel a little tired. All right. We're only 17 hours in and we got 7 more hours to go. All right. And we got some really great people ahead here. You know, I'm here with you, Zach. It was bye for Medi. Oh, for Medi. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate the support. I know y'all are like in India and all the places that are not America right now that are doing pretty well. We are still, I think we still have like almost 70 people on the stream between Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. You can do NDSR. I mean, I got 2 minutes until the next stream, dude. No, we're not doing it. We're not. Yeah, the non-sleep deep NSDR, non-sleep deep rest, right? NSDR and NDSR. It's like, oh, so good. Get some music going and crank the AC up, right? Just like rah 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 rah. Difference in course for spring data versus data and AI bootcamp. Well, the data and AI bootcamp, you get both. You get the spring data engineering bootcamp that starts in 3 days, and you get the AI bootcamp as well. Versus if you do you can do just the spring one. It's a bundle deal, right? That's why it's freaking great. Margin was intense, dude. It was great. I loved him. I loved his freaking stuff. That was like one of my favorite. I did not expect that, right? And I was like, whoa, bro, that was great. I had a feeling it was going to be a good one, though. Anytime someone's like, I want to talk about misinformation, it's like, whoa, 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 right? We got this. We got this. Alexi's going to be coming in here in just a minute. I want to do a little, you guys ever do like let me show you what I mean. You ever do like floor bow? Where you're like, okay, let's see if I can do it. I mean, it's like, this one, you're like, oh my God, I feel so much better. That was so good. That feels so amazing. Okay, good. We got him in here. We got him in here. Add to the stream. How's it going, Alexi? What's up? What's up? Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream. Dude, what time is it where you're at right now, Alexi?
I am in Berlin right now, and it's 11 o'clock.
Oh, perfect. 11's great, dude. It's
Yeah.
2 in the morning. All right.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, that's not even, you know what? If it was just 2 in the morning right now, I'd be fine. Honestly, I'm a 2 in the morning kind of guy. It's not that. It's 2 in the morning and that we're 17 hours deep into this live. All right. That is the part that is crazy. All right. But anyways, good morning to you. Good morning to you. So I want to introduce you because I think some people might not know who you are. Alexi, you are the founder of Data Talks Club. I think Data Talks Club um, is one of the best options for learning data engineering, like ever in some regards. Like it's very interesting. It's very interesting
I need
because
to hear it from you.
yeah. It's very interesting because one of the things that I think is very cool about Data Talks Club in particular is that like the content's really high quality. There's feedback loops, there's homework, there's like, and it has just such raving reviews, and that like, and it's something that you like kept at, right? So, because one of the things that I've noticed with a lot of other people who put out like free material, right, is, and I'm guilty of this myself, even like, it's like they'll do a V1, right? And that's it, right? And it's just like, okay, great. And then it's like the free material kind of stales out, and it kind of like they don't like consistently iterate on it. And I think that's one of the things that Data Talks Club, and that's the thing that kind of separates Data Talks Club from like literally everything else, right? Is this whole perspective of like, we're gonna make consistent, high quality, free, material that like is far and above, and like I think that's really cool. Like, so I guess one of my first question to you is like, what inspired you to start Data Talks Club? Like, what was the kind of like the thing that was like, okay, I need to do this.
Definitely. I just want to say a few words. Like, I was afraid I would be speaking to your dog because
Yeah. Yeah,
you've
right.
been like, I
Like
don't know,
sleeping.
how is that 17 hours?
Yes, right.
That's madness. Like, man,
Mhm.
seriously. Like, I don't know how much Red Bull do you have?
A lot. I'm like a lot. I've had probably like 4 or 5 in the last 3 or 4 hours, right? Yeah, it's been a lot. Like I'm gonna
You're
crash
insane.
so hard. It's gonna be great. I think.
Yeah, but like also the idea you have,
Mhm,
I would never think of anything crazy like that. So kudos
mhm.
to you.
Thank you.
Um, So I guess your question is how I started Datadogs Club, right?
Mhm,
That was the question. So Datadogs Club, yes, we do courses, but this is not what Datadogs Club is about or only about. Yeah, we do focus on courses, but at the
mhm,
beginning, or it still is a community of people who
mhm,
love data. So that was the main, let's say, idea when Datadogs Club appeared, is
mhm,
for data folks to be in one place and to communicate with each other.
mhm,
So actually, this idea comes from, so there is another community. It's called Open Data Science. Those who
mhm,
speak Russian might know about this because at some point it was the biggest Russian-speaking community of data scientists. And everything they did there was for free. So they organized events. It was in Moscow, in Kiev, in Minsk, in some other cities. So the events were free, meetups. Then the huge community where people would help each other all the time. And also they had some online content. Specifically, there was a course about machine learning that was free.
mhm,
And first it was in Russian, then they changed it to English. But the
mhm,
people who started this community were the same. So for me, being a part of this community, I was there since 2014, I think, when it just started. So to
mhm,
me, it gave me such a big career. I want to say boost, but like it helped a lot in my career. So I found so many people, also in Germany, also from not just Russia, like from the States, from I don't know, Russian-speaking people are everywhere.
mhm,
Um, so it gave me so many things. And also when I had a problem, like I would simply go there and ask, and I would also help others there. So it was
mhm,
amazing. But like for me, it felt like since I live in Germany and I work in English. So for me, I wanted to have the same thing, but in English, not in Russian. So, because it's Russian, it's only for people who understand Russian, and this is mostly people use English in the internet, right? So, and
Yeah.
this is the language that we use for work. This is the language we use for networking, and so on. Like most of the content, professional content, is created in English. So, I wanted to have something like that in English.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. So, at some point, it was COVID times, and I was sitting home. I was thinking like what to do with my life. So yeah, this is when I started.
And so was the first cohort in 2020 or?
No, like the cohort at the beginning, it was just a community. At the beginning, it was just. So I know I speak a lot, but probably you speak even more, and you need a break from
Yeah.
speaking, right?
Oh yeah, no,
So
yeah,
I
no,
can
it's all
just
good. I'm
I can just keep talking.
I love hearing, like, I've asked so many people about like their origin story and like why they
Okay.
do the things they do. That's like a big part about this whole live, is like, because I really
'Cause-
am trying to get people to, because this, when I was thinking of like who to bring on and who to invite, right? I'm like, I want to bring awesome people who are doing a lot of good for the community and just understand why, right? And understand like what motivates you to do this, or what motivates you to like kind of get through this, you know? Like that's like, I guess, yeah, I mean, I'm down to talk. I'm yapping. I'm good. Like
uh, I'll continue just where I left.
yeah, go ahead.
So like at the beginning, it was just a community. So it was COVID times.
Mhm.
I got promoted at work, and my
Mhm.
work became different. So before I was hands-on, and then I became a lead, so I had to mentor people.
Mhm.
And I was missing some sort of I don't know, positive feedback from the universe that what I'm doing is good.
Yeah.
Because like when I was a senior data scientist, I would create something and then I roll it out, and then I see immediately it impacting a lot of users.
Mhm.
I did not have this. So I was looking for some, I don't know, meaning, I guess. And it was COVID, like everyone was stuck at home. And I was making a lot of posts on LinkedIn. You
Mhm.
probably can relate. When you make a lot of posts on LinkedIn, what happens is people start contacting you,
Yeah.
right, in DM. And they ask all sorts of questions. And some questions were deep, like, and at some point I thought, what if I just give these people who ask me about career changes, what if I give them half an hour of my time? We go on a Zoom call
Mhm.
and I give a consultation. At the beginning, it was for free. So I didn't want to, like, I wasn't sure if I want to monetize it. I want to make anything out of it. I just wanted to
Yeah.
try and see if it resonates with the people, if I like it, what happens. So I started doing this. So people would reach out to me. I'd say, hey, how about I give you a consultation? So here's
Mhm.
like, this is when I do. I don't remember if I had Calendly back then, but like, anyways. So we would
Mhm.
set up some time. I would have conversations with the different people. They would be like, I'm a data analyst. I want to become a data scientist. I am a software engineering in test, engineer in test, and I want to do, I don't know, data analytics, whatever. So
Mhm.
this is what people, the problems they had, and they wanted to talk to me to see how they can solve these problems, how they can become something they are not yet.
Yeah.
And so it was mostly career consultations. So I did this for quite some time. Maybe I had like, I don't know, 30 consultations. And then I
Nice.
thought, like, these questions, they started to be so repetitive. Like everyone wants, like, I'm a software engineer and want to become a data scientist. And they already consulted like 5 of them. It
Mhm.
felt like super repetitive, right? And at the end, I was just, yeah, dude, just read my book, right? Or something like this.
Mhm.
So it kind of became boring to me, I guess, because like it's regurgitating the same thing over and over again. I thought it would be nice to put all these people together, so people who I help will help others who had this question,
Yeah.
right?
That's why I
And
don't
this
do
is
one-on-one. Like literally, because I know that like, yeah, I would have the exact same problem with it, where I'm like, I would love it for 5 or 10, and then like after that I'm like, it's the same, right? Yeah, yeah. And so, but like you're saying, you like have like a trying to build like a network effect, or like, well, yeah, go on.
yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't think I was really doing anything on purpose. It was just okay. I was just going with the flow. I thought, okay, what's the
Mhm.
next logical step? So I have all these people. I don't really, I don't cannot scale myself, right? So what can I do? How about I put all these people together in one place? For me, it was a Slack place, workspace.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of me helping each other, they would help. Instead of me helping everyone, they would help each other. You see what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? It's not like
Yeah.
one to many relationship, but many to many. And then speaking of this open data science community, I still had this idea of building something similar, but in English. So these two things kind of merged into one. I thought, okay, like I have these 30 people. There are more people who write me. How
Mm-hmm.
about I actually start a community? So there, these people start helping each other, and then let's see what happens.
Yeah.
So it was just a Slack workspace, nothing else. So there were no events, no courses, nothing. It was just a bunch of people there in the Slack community who at some point reached out to me on LinkedIn or somewhere, and I gave them the invite link to the Slack community. And there, what I did was I asking them, what brings you here and what kind of content you're interested in.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried to understand what people are looking for. And then at some point, the community started to grow. Surprisingly, I didn't really advertise it anywhere.
Yeah.
And it started to grow. It was like 300, 400, 500 people. And I was like, wow, so cool.
Yeah.
Because it was the
Amazing.
time when people were stuck at home, right? So we wanted to
Mm-hmm.
socialize. So the community started to grow. Well, maybe it wasn't 500, but like the first couple of months, it was already hundreds, right? And I had a fair idea of what people wanted, what kind of content they were interested in. So
Mm-hmm.
they were kind of similar to my background, I guess. So I'm more of an engineer than a scientist. So people were interested more in engineering things. So we started having these events where we would show how to, let's say, deploy a machine learning model, or
Mm-hmm.
how to, I don't know, solve a home assignment that a company gives you, things like
Mm-hmm.
that. So we started having events. And then, like, it really resonated with people, and I finally got this sense of, doing something useful.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then it
Especially
started
during
growing.
COVID. I mean, that was so.
Yeah,
Was this like was this so you founded this in? I'm just trying to get the timeline on this. So you
September
founded Data Talk
2020.
Club. This was like September 2020, right?
Yeah,
And then like
exactly.
so then was this like around that? Was this like probably those first after you were taking those coaching calls? This was probably like maybe late 2020
Yeah,
or yeah. That's
yeah.
awesome.
So like September 20. So the coaching calls happened before,
Mm-hmm.
and September, this is where the community started.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. And
Yeah,
that's like it's just cool to see like how these like organic kind of flywheels happen, right? Where it's like where you had this idea of like, hey, like I can maybe help some people, right? And then it's like, and then
yeah.
that like that feeling of goodwill kind of creates this positive feedback loop where it's like, okay, it's kind of like the whole thing of like, I'll help you with something so long as you help someone else with something, right? It's kind of the whole pay it
Wasn't
forward,
the
right?
It wasn't the how to say, it wasn't the deal. This is
Yeah.
not what I was telling people.
Yeah.
But then, like, if we had a call, it was like, hey, check these things that
Yeah.
I'm building.
Yeah.
Maybe you like it. Right?
I like that. I like that. There's
Yeah.
like it's like, and I mean, especially like if you're teaching people how to like deploy machine learning. So was the first cohort like it was more the ML one?
Wasn't even
Or
a course. It wasn't
yeah.
even a course. So it was 1 year before the course. So the first course was September 2021. It was
Mm-hmm.
a machine learning. So we have a bunch of courses. So the
Hmm.
very first course was a boot camp about machine learning engineering,
Nice.
where I showed how to first. I gave the basics of machine learning, like what is linear regression, what is logistic regression, what are tree-based models, what is deep learning, and then also the engineering aspects, like what is Docker, like how you manage virtual environments, how do you deploy a model, what is Kubernetes, what is serverless, so things
Hmm.
like that. So, and that was the first course. And this course was based on my book, so I already had a book. And the thing with books, so the book is about machine learning. So the book is called
Hmm.
Machine Learning Book Camp. You see where Zoom Camp is coming from.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. So like the marketing from mining had this idea, oh, how about we call the book camp?
Yeah.
So
Boom.
that kudos to them. Yeah. So the thing with books is when it comes to machine learning, I guess maybe it's the same thing now with AI. There are so many of them. There are like thousands of them. It's super hard to compete because you
Hmm.
have these very good books, that everyone is buying, and then you have the long tail, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, I was in the long tail. So the book is still giving me some money, maybe like 300 per quarter,
Yeah,
and then I pay like half of that in taxes. So well,
that's something.
it's not
That's your
nothing.
coffee money, right? That's good coffee
Yeah,
money.
it's good, but like you don't really write books for money, I guess.
Yeah, right.
And I was thinking, okay, like I have this book, I have these materials, but nobody's buying it. But I still want to. So I had two goals. First, like the materials I have was like it was pity that I wanted more people to access it, and the second goal was to promote the book.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, and I ran it by the marketing team at Manning, the publisher. I said, like, how about I create a course based on the book, and the book is like the textbook that you need to follow along the course.
Yeah, I
And
love
then the
that.
course would be free. And the reason the course was free is because I mentioned open data science, and everything these people at open data science did was free, and I benefited a lot from that.
Mm-hmm.
So as I was becoming a data scientist, as I was growing in my career, I benefited a lot from free courses. So I wanted also to give back to the community, to also
Mm-hmm.
contribute. So I
All
thought,
right.
okay, the course should be free, but if people want to say thank me, then they can buy the book, right?
Yeah.
And also the book would be helpful to follow along the course. So I just basically recorded the video for each chapter of the book. So each chapter was a module, and then the first course appeared. So this was the machine learning Zoom camp course. And just maybe you will ask me, did it help with the sales of the book? No,
Yeah.
it did not
Yeah.
whatsoever. I mean, maybe like
Like
maybe it did.
marginally, right? Yeah, you made like an
Yeah.
extra $50.
Yeah. Well, who knows now, if not the
Yeah.
course, would anyone be still buying books, this
Yeah.
book?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe nobody would buy it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And now I
right.
have
That
like
it kind of it would
200.
just fade away, right? And that
Yeah.
$300 a quarter would be zero, or like
Yeah, yeah,
minimal,
exactly,
right? Yeah.
exactly. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I really like the process, but what I liked more is the community engagement, because
Mm-hmm.
people were so engaged. And this is what I actually wanted to, like this feeling that I had from open data science, where like everyone is taking part in the course, not just students, but also everyone is contributing to the course.
Mm-hmm.
And I managed to recreate a similar thing. It was so
Mm-hmm.
it was so cool to see people like contributing their notes, sending pull requests, taking part. I think we had a competition. We had people could write articles. So it was so cool to involve people in this process. So
Mm-hmm.
it was. So yes, I'm the teacher, I'm the instructor, I'm teaching people, but also they are involved. The community is involved. So that was really cool. And then what happened is some of the students from the course, it was one particular student, Ankush.
Mm-hmm.
He is a data engineer, and he said, "Hey, Alexi, how about we do something similar, but about data engineering?"
Boom.
And this is how
Yeah,
data
that's
engineering
awesome.
camp happened.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so it was Ankush, and then two other people. It was Sejal and Victoria. And all these three people were among the first 1 or 200 people who joined the community. So I
Mm-hmm.
already had personal contact with them. So for us, we splitted the modules. So, and first of all, we thought about the curriculum. Ankush and Sejal were actual data engineers. I was a data scientist who, as a data scientist, I needed to do a lot to create a lot of pipelines. So I was quite close to data engineering, like Spark and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And then Victoria, she was an analytics engineer. So we thought, okay, what's the curriculum we need to come up with that it matches what the industry requirements are, like from data engineers. So we came up with, so we use this 2080 approach, right? So it's not possible to teach everything, right? So because there
Mm-hmm.
are so many things, but what are the most fundamental things on top of which you can later build? And we came up with this, was it 6 modules, like
Mm-hmm.
Docker, um, then what was that? Workflow orchestration, data warehousing, then analytics engineering, then batch and streaming. So these
Perfect.
were the modules. And back then, there were no free courses in data engineering, or
Yeah.
maybe there was like one or something. So we kind of were super lucky to be at the right in the right place at the right time when people wanted this. But so the demand was huge, but everyone was so busy doing MLOps stuff. So MLOps was still a thing back then. So
Yeah.
all the investors' money were in MLOps. Everyone was so crazy about monitoring and I don't know, other things. And it seemed like data engineering was not getting the spotlight it needed. And not so, and because like there were not so many investments from these companies because everyone was throwing money at MLOps. Like also companies did not really create courses because what you saw with MLOps, companies would create courses about MLOps. What you see now with AI companies, they usually have a DevRel team, right? And then this team they need to promote a product, and what they sometimes do is create a course about something.
Yeah.
So right now, what we see is there are a lot of courses about LLMs, also
Oh yeah,
from
tons.
companies. Yeah. But with data engineering, there was none. Like there were some courses on Udemy which costed money, but like for free, there was nothing.
Yeah.
So we were just lucky to launch that course at that time, and also the content was pretty good. So people really liked it, and it immediately, like, I did not need to promote it. I still don't really need to promote because people, after the first iteration, people would just promote on our behalf, say how cool this course is. And when we ran second iteration in 2023, like people would just join. Like I would maybe make one or two posts and there would be like, I don't know, 17, 18,000 people who sign up.
Yeah.
Because like people on Reddit, they would recommend it to each other, right? So that there was this word of mouth, and that is so cool. Like I didn't need to do, like, of course I would still promote. We have the newsletter, we promote it through our channels. But yeah, people really needed it. And we were lucky. Well, luck is, you know, I don't know if it's correct word or not, but like also I think it contributed to the success of this course.
I mean, I think that's one of the things that is like really awesome in the way that. So I guess one of the things I'm curious about with like this first iteration of this data engineering course. So like I think one of the things I noticed like when I was creating my cohorts and everything is like, and it's the part that I have shifted quite a bit over the last like year or so is like, because I've like the first 5 cohorts that I did, I taught 100% myself, all 6 weeks, all of it myself. And like, holy shit, it was a lot. Like, it was like one of those things where I'm like, it's something where it's much better to like have other people like bounce off ideas. Like when you had these 6 modules, like in this first one, like, did you split it with this other guy, or was there other instructors involved, or like, how did you like kind of
It was
split up the work?
4.
Yeah. Oh,
Because
it's 4. It's great. Yeah.
So you're right on point. So when I did the first course, it was the machine learning engineering course. It was so difficult. It was so tough. And so because I made the public commitment of doing the course, I had to stay late at night to actually record it. So then people would have, and I would be constantly late, like, I don't know, half a week, sometimes maybe a week late. So I had to work a lot. And I felt burned out. Like the feedback from people was what was motivating me, but also, energy wise, I mean, like actually physical energy wise, I was kind of drained. And I thought like, okay, like how do I not burn out again like that? And exactly that. So, because when we did the data engineering course, there were 4 of us, and we split the work. So I did 2 modules, Ankush did 2 modules, Victoria did 1 module, and I think Sejal contributed to one of the modules, and then she did another, I think.
Nice.
Anyway, so we distributed the work.
Yeah.
And for me, it was so much easier. And I thought, okay, like this is how you make courses. So you find people with the right expertise, you show them how to do the courses, because I already had some idea what works, what doesn't, like how to give content, so that people like. So then for me, the idea was, what if I get people who are knowledgeable in some areas, I get them to record the content, so I come up with the syllabus, I talk with these people, discuss the syllabus, so we iterate on the syllabus, and then I explain them what's the best way of teaching the course. Maybe I give them, like, I don't know, some sort of playbook.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, can I actually reproduce it? And then we ran the MLOps course. And the answer was yes. Yes, it's possible to reproduce it. So I kind of had the, I don't know, a playbook of creating courses. So you find people, you discuss the syllabus with them, then you split the modules, and then you explain what's the best way of recording content in such a way that people like it, people can follow it. So it became a more scalable thing, I guess.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And
Yeah.
like, I mean, it's like that focus on systems and that focus on like recognizing like when you need to like bring in other people. I think that that's like such an important part of the journey for educators, especially like if you're trying to like build something that's sustainable and something that's like where it's like, okay, I want to do it again. Like, and I want to go and I want to like, I want to keep having this impact with the community because it's like you want to feel like, okay, this is awesome and I'm giving back, but you also want to feel like, oh, I'm not killing myself doing this, right?
Yeah.
And it's like a mix of the two, right? That I think is like is
Yeah.
really is really important, like
Yeah. Second iterations were easier because we already had the content, right?
mhm.
Yes, some content needs tweaking, some content needs updating. But for example, for the machine learning course, most of the content is still the same. So things change and we just add a note like, okay, here right now with the new version of scikit-learn, this is how you do it, because what we show in the video is outdated. So we don't necessarily need to redo the videos. Although with the data engineering course, I think it's time this year for me to re-record the Docker module. Because this is also, it was super surprising for me personally, because for all four of us. So when we were coming up with syllabus, the Docker was like, we thought, okay, everyone knows it. Like we shouldn't spend too much time showing Docker.
Yeah.
So we kind of treat it as week zero for people who might not have experience with Docker. They just learn it, but we assume that most people who join the course, they already know Docker.
Yeah.
How wrong we were. We were super wrong. Like it was and still is the most difficult chapter with the most difficult module for most of the students.
Yeah.
I'm surprised, but it is what it is.
It's just like installing stuff, man. Like, I guess that was like for me, one of the things that I've done like over like my last, 8 iterations is that was actually because my first 3 boot camps, I had a lot of Docker involved. And like that was one of the after the 3rd iteration of just seeing like all my students suffer installing stuff. And I was like, we're done. We're moving to the cloud. We're done. We're just gonna have everyone be able to like do things through like a UI and do everything like freaking teach people like not because it's like I don't want to like I want to like make it more accessible. It's a trade though, right? Because then it's like you have a bill and all this stuff, right? Have you ever thought about doing something like that? Hear me out, man. I want to put an idea in your ear because I have a lot of talks with Databricks. I talk with Databricks almost every single week, just trying to break a deal with them, trying to figure out like what the hell is gonna like make sense for my business and their business, right? In a way that will like we both win. And it's complicated because it's like for them, they're like, Zach, like if you do a paid course, like we're giving you nothing. We'll give you nothing essentially. They're like, if like your students can pay for it, but they were like, but if you do a free course, like, let's talk, right? And so one of the things that I think would be very interesting and just intriguing to think about is like, it's tricky because like one of the things that I like about the way that you do things is that it's very open source and very free. And it's like, and I think that's one of the things that's very tricky about the cloud in particular is that it's like, if you're teaching a course on the cloud, you have to pick a vendor, right? You have to pick somebody, right? And it's like, and so no matter who you pick, you are implicitly like endorsing a vendor, right? And it's like, it's hard to make it doesn't feel as like, I don't know, maybe like pure or like, I don't know, because it feels it's a little more like commercial at that point, even if it is, maybe even if it is a free course or like maybe it's a free course, but it's limited to like a couple thousand people or something like that. Or like, I mean, it'd be interesting to see like what the limits on like what these vendors would actually offer. Cause I think there's a side of this that is very intriguing from the side of like, well, like they want that. They want it. And like, and I know that like, it's one of those things where if we could get those people involved, like holy shit, that's like a, because then that gives even more relevant skills, right? Where it's like if you have the combination of all that stuff, because I think that was like I've shifted. I still have one thing with Docker in my bootcamp. The one thing I have with Docker is I use Astronomer, and then I use because they have to do local airflow. Local airflow is still Docker, but then literally everything else in the bootcamp is in the cloud. Everything else, like I do, and I even tell people, I'm like, and it's a failure, but there's nothing I can do. If you want to do local pipeline development, that has to be with Docker. There's nothing I can do. That's like, and I'm sorry guys, that's like one thing that's very difficult to like remove, right? So, I mean, it's
We
crazy.
yeah, we will keep Docker on purpose.
Yeah.
We also, like, if you cannot install Docker, if you cannot work through problems,
Yep.
then perhaps you need to take some time off the
Yep.
course to
Mm.
figure these issues out. And
Mhm.
then as doing this, you become a better engineer, and then you join the course for the next cohort when you're already prepared.
I love that. I
So
love
it's
that.
like a prerequisite.
Yeah.
Yes, you might not know Docker yet,
Yeah.
but as a prerequisite, you have to go through the struggles of installing it successfully. And if you don't give up, then you can do the course.
You know what's beautiful about that and a free course? That is amazing. Like, and I think that's one of the things that's like is why I feel more obligated to design my courses differently. Is that like, my course is 5 weeks, and it's like if someone's struggling to like do the installation, like, and I don't have like the bandwidth to like really guide them through that, right? And so it's like there's a side of it that's like, and I want them to be happy, right? But it's like for you, it's like, well, just catch the next one, right? Catch the next one. And it's like, and for me, it's like, no, I mean, this person paid me. So it's like I have to like think about like, okay, how can I like handhold them maybe a little bit more, but in a way that's scalable. And that's why I like cloud. But at the same time, like there's this that's why free is amazing. That's why free is honestly better in some ways, because I also feel that the way that you teach in that way is actually better. It's better because that's how real engineering happens. Like you suffer.
Then yeah, you suffer because, like, even if you, so I use Windows, and I remember, so I was a hardcore Ubuntu user for a really long time.
Yeah.
But the thing with Ubuntu is, yes, it's the perfect development environment for, like, it's a perfect environment for development, but for everything else, it sucks.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, having Zoom calls, even having Zoom calls, Zoom would just randomly crash.
Yeah.
Or I don't know, editing video, forget about that.
Yeah.
So then I started when Windows Subsystem for Linux became a thing. I decided to give it a try. And what I found out is actually Windows is not that bad. But I use Windows Home, and it was such a big, I don't know, challenge to install Docker on Windows Home. Because like there is some virtualization that you need to have, which you cannot have on Windows Home. Like you have to have Windows Pro or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. So I had to hack it to find a way to actually bypass this, because it's a software limitation, not hardware limitation, that you cannot have this virtualization. And for me, it was like spending a couple of days reading different forums, and then finally finding some obscure bad script that I needed to execute. And then it
like,
at the end
solved it. Right. I love it when you find the exact Stack Overflow for your problem, and you're like, "Thank you, random person." Right? Yeah.
It was not even Stack Overflow. It was some
forums, dude. You were deep.
Yeah.
You were deep. You were really hoping, right?
Yeah. So I know it's not easy.
Yeah.
But like, seriously, like, you shouldn't maybe do development on Windows, but I wanted to give it a try. I configured it in the way I wanted, and has been running seamlessly since then. So since I have Docker installed, I have like all this Windows subsystem for Linux, but also at the end, it turned out that I don't even need it, because I can have like this bash emulator that runs on Windows. So instead of ls, you have ls.exe, right? And like things just work. So, but because of that, when I was recording videos, I was using Windows. And if people on Linux were trying to follow, some things would not work in exactly the same way as on my computer.
Yeah.
Right. So that was a problem. And then another problem. So what we use for the Docker module is, in the Docker module, we show how to run Postgres with Docker. Then we show how to run Python with Docker, and we showed how to connect the two. And then at the end, we show Docker Compose, right? So this is a pretty basic stuff for most people who know already. But like, if this is the first time you see this, the problems that, like, for example, for Postgres needs to store data somewhere, right? If we don't configure Docker in the right way, then when we run it next time, then our data is gone, right? So we need to do volume mapping. And the way you do volume mapping in Windows and on Linux and on Mac are different, right? So then you need to be careful with that. So like, there were so many things that I wasn't aware about that came up during the course. But then at the end, I think like I learned more about this, but also for students to go through this process and actually step by step, first run Postgres and Docker, then figure out why the volume is not mapped, map it in the correct way, then run Python, then connect them, figure out why. So first, like, they needed to learn about running Docker, then Docker volumes, then open ports was also a thing. Like, imagine many students had Postgres running already on their machine. And now they want to run Postgres and Docker. Of course, they wanted to use the same port, right? And then you have a problem because the old Postgres is running, the new Postgres is trying to access the port. Like, so many problems came up during this. And like, if you solve this problem and you have the persistence of going through all of that, and first of all, installing the Docker too, then like, this is what we data engineers do. I mean, I say we, even though I was data scientist. Let's say this is what we engineers do, right?
Yeah,
we
100%.
have to go through these things.
Yeah.
And at the end, I thought we keep Docker.
Yeah.
Because like, this just shows you how real life looks like.
Yeah.
So it's not like, rainbows and unicorns. It's like, hardcore stuff. You're like deep in the mud and trying to go through this, and you know.
Yeah, then there's always going to be these little tiny freaking technical detail things that are like, now you're like, what's a port? Like, and like, and I had to learn about like a port and a volume. And then there's like all of these like new words that like, and I think it's very interesting because like, I guess I found it interesting, at least like when I teach students about this, and that like, because there's like about half of them love it. They love it. They love that piece of it. But I think that there's been like, there's this other side of like, there's like, especially like if you have people who are coming more from the analyst archetype and they're trying to become more like, like more like a snowflake cloud engineer, where it's like, in a lot of cases, like with that stack, they never have to worry about a lot of the technical stuff, right? And then so they have less patience because they're like, when I was trying to show them like Docker or Spark or these things, and then they're like, this stuff is not going to be a part of my role. So they're like, why am I learning this? And so like, I think that's one of the things that I find complicated about like the data engineering and the data engineer title, is that there's so many different stacks and so many different ways that you can do it nowadays, that like, it's like, I personally love it. I love the like technical, you should know the layer underneath, you should know all the the underlying layers, you should know everything about how Spark works and how the Docker works and how like all the whatever the underlying stuff is, not just like how to write the code on top, but also like what happens when things break, like, and that's like what makes you a stronger engineer. And like, I think that that's like, for like the more traditional standard data engineer archetype, I think that's perfect. I think it's a perfect fit. I think for more of like the analytics engineer archetype, and this is where my boot camps get so messy, because like people take both, or they take like, and they take the wrong one, or they take this one and that one, and I'm like, oh, like, well, like freaking like, I'll try my best to try to merge all these and give y'all a great experience, but like, it's like, then they complain about that suffering, and then like, I don't know, like, I am with you on that, where I'm like, no, it's actually the learning. It's actually the learning. Like, it's actually, doing that, like, and all that stuff. Because I think that like, there's like this myth out there about data engineering, where it's like, if you're not writing SQL or writing Airflow code or writing Spark code, that you're not doing like real data engineering. Like, because they might be like, well, Docker, that's like a DevOps, or that's like a, that's an infra thing. But it's like, no, it's not. Like, it's like, it's the prerequisite to like doing data engineering. It's like, you need to do it. Like, it's like especially like if you're working at a company that doesn't have a lot of infra, that's the only way to do it. Like, it's complicated, right? I mean,
also to make things even more interesting. So in the first module, we'll also cover Terraform.
Yeah.
So you can imagine that, like, if you take the profile you just described, a
Yeah.
person who is not like super deep into coding, and then first you throw them in the pool with Docker, and they
Yeah.
are already drowning, and then you just put Terraform on top of that,
Yeah.
they suffer.
Yeah, they're like, dude, you took my doubts and now you put them in the cloud. All right. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I mean,
But
like,
also,
go
yeah,
ahead.
the profile. We thought, okay, who do we want to take this course? Who is the target audience? And
Mhm.
for us, these are data scientists who want to learn more about data engineering, who want to be better at building pipelines, and these are software engineers who want to become data engineers.
I love
Right.
that. I love that. I love
And
that. Those are
because,
two very good archetypes. Like, and that's
yeah,
like being very mindful about that is great.
and both of these folks are quite, like, they should be able to program, right? They should know Docker. They should know, like, they should be able to write Spark code at the end. So they are used to this, or will be used eventually when they do this at work, to this kind of stuff. So that's why I think a little suffering at the beginning is good. So that's why we keep Docker, and we will never remove it. But what's other thing right now with GitHub Codespaces? I don't know if you use GitHub Codespaces, but it made our life so much easier, because you just click one button, maybe two, and then you have an environment with already Python and Docker.
Like,
and that's it.
In the browser.
It can be in the browser, but you can also, if you have Visual Studio Code desktop, then you can use your desktop to connect to GitHub Codespaces. And then,
That's
like,
amazing.
it's amazing. Like, it saved us so much trouble when somebody says, hey, I have Windows Home, I cannot install Docker. We just say, yeah, use Codespaces.
Yeah. Okay. I need to definitely look into that. That's amazing.
It's amazing. Like,
yeah,
it's
because
literally
because then everyone is like on the same version of Python too.
exactly.
I
Yeah.
hate like the 3.11 versus 3.7 shit with Python. Like, oh my god, that's like that bit me in the ass in my last boot camp, and I'm like, no, never again. That's where like having something like this is great, where it's like everyone, same environment, same situation, right? Like, then it's like, okay, damn, that learning, that's freaking cool. Like,
Then you can also, what you can do with GitHub Codespaces, there's a thing called dev containers or dev container. So basically, it's like a Docker file, but for Codespaces, you can say, okay, this is the version of Python I want to have. This is the version of Node.js I want to have, whatever. And then when you click this button, when the environment is being prepared, they will pull the right versions of the libraries. So definitely look into it.
Yeah, dude, this is sick. That's so awesome, man. I mean, like, so do you have I guess I know there's gonna be people who are interested. Like, so right now I have the link for the data engineering Zoom camp up here on GitHub. It's amazing. It has like only a light 30,000 stars. Like, I love it. I love it. That's great. Like, do you know when the next cohort's gonna be? Like,
It's January 2020.
yeah, no, oh yeah. So it's like you do it like a
Yeah.
once a year sort of thing now.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, I love that.
Like, people, every time somebody asks when is the next cohort, and I say January, and then it's next year.
Yeah.
Like, as if there are
No,
other Januaries.
no, 2nd January, right?
So, but it gives this sense of exclusivity. Like, if you really want to push through and have a certificate at the end, you have to do it like when the cohort is. So, because it gives a little bit of, I don't know, this sense of exclusivity, so people work a bit harder. If you can do it at just any random point of the year and get a certificate, then you'll be just relaxed. Okay, like, I don't really need to work on a project right now because I have all this time.
Yeah.
But
I
in our
love
case,
that.
you don't have all this time. So you have to work on the project right now if you want to get a certificate.
Yeah.
So it helps people stay focused and actually graduate. Right? But then also we offer content at self-paced mode. So if you feel like, I don't know, you have a life, you have work, I don't know, kids, whatever.
Or you want to
cannot
take
commit.
like 1 or 2, right? It's like, I know it's like there's, I mean, because it's like maybe some people are like, okay, I know batch, but I want to know streaming, or I want to know like there's like one segment that I really care about, right? That's like that's where self-paced can be really nice. But yeah, I'm with you on that. Like that is such a smart way to do it, because it's like, if you don't do it that way, like, and like self-paced people, like it's very interesting, because it's like, okay, for me, you know, in my boot camp, I've done like 2,500 like paid people through the boot camp, and about half of them like get certified and get through all the material, right, and like do all the homework as well. Like, so it's actually pretty good. 50% on that is actually pretty decent. But then among my self-paced students, I think it's like 5%. It's something like really low. It's like it's like 10 times more difficult for someone to do it on their own time than it is for them to do it in a moment in time with a cohort, right? That's like it's a beautiful thing I actually like about that. Like, there's this movement of like, okay, let's all learn together, and you feel like you're a part of something. And it's like, it makes it easier to stay motivated, you know? Like, I love that. Like,
Yeah. And also people help each other. So it helps me because like if somebody has a problem, I open Slack and I see, oh, already somebody helped this person. Cool.
yeah.
I don't need to do anything. It would not happen in the self-paced mode, because right now, let's say right now we are doing our MLOps course. Right now it's week number 2 when we learn about experiment tracking, right? So if somebody has a question about experiment tracking, then another student can answer. But if the same question appears, I don't know, half a year later when there is no active cohort,
Yeah.
then other students will not help. So I have to answer.
Yep.
And
yep.
then like, and imagine if there was no cohort, it would be just random questions appearing at random moments. And then I would be just spending all my time answering these questions.
So one thing that like I do that helps a little bit for my self-paced students is they get this only works if you have like a consistent stream of people, but I'm guessing you probably do, of self-paced people who are coming in, is this idea of like, you kind of batch them based on like the week or month that they come in. And then it's like, okay, like you're in a cohort with the other people who signed up this month. And then like I put them in a group together, and I'm like, all right. And then they have their own Discord group where it's like, all right, you are the April like 2025, self-paced group. All right, go. Right. And then they can kind of like push each other. And then I'll have like a TA kind of hold them and be like, hey, like, what's going on this week? Did you get through this material? Did you get through this material? And like kind of like point them in that direction. So it's a little bit more scalable, so that the TA only has like additional, like it's a predictable amount of work for them, right? But then it also gives them at least a little bit of the cohort feel. It's not the same level for sure, but it's at least a piece of it. So I mean, that might be a thing to think about, like if you're trying to like bump up those like trying to squeeze a little bit more value out of it when the class is not like in session, or the class is not like in the time box spot. But it doesn't it's not like it doesn't raise it to the same level as like if it is in that time box spot, though, because it's like it's a different archetype of student. It's a different type of student where it's like, what you're saying, it's like, or you have a life, right? like what you said, you can't just like dedicate like tens and tens and tens of hours to freaking like learning this stuff, right? Because you just like like have a baby at home or something, like
We also have multiple courses. So for
Yeah.
example, right now the data engineering course is over and all my focus is on the MLOps course.
Yeah.
And soon we launch a second edition of LLM Zoom Camp.
Nice.
And then there will be ML Zoom Camp. So like if I do this, like you suggest, like I would just go crazy with all these courses, doing them like at random moments.
But it seems like that's something that you could delegate. Like, well, it's like as long as there was an automated way where if someone enrolls in the course later, self-paced, that like then they just get bundled with the other people, and then that's a community-driven thing. You would not. I don't do anything there. I don't do any of that. That's like definitely something that is delegated to somebody else. And given that like this is such a goodwill based thing, there's probably someone who'd be like, all right, I'm down to like, hold these people accountable, right? Or over like, it's like having 4 sessions with them or something like that, right? I mean, it'd be interesting to see, because it's like, there's just so many people who this course has already positively impacted, where that might be, it's just a suggestion, Joe. Like, I'm like, how to like, because I mean, I that's one of the things I've been trying to figure out is like how to like get more out of like the material, right? Get more out of like, because it's like, it's all quality stuff and it's all there. And it's like, because accountability as a service is really what's going on here, right? Is we build high quality material, you give people a timed segment of space to do it in, and then because the goal is to maximize the number of people who complete the material. Right. I know when I think about like why I do what I do is like that's really at the end of the day what it's about, right? And so like then it's like then you are like, oh, but there's this other way of doing it that is a lot worse, but also more scalable in some ways because it's like it doesn't have that moment in time effect to it. But it's not a bug, it's actually a feature, but it's also a bug. It's like both. It's like very strange, right? I think that part of how teaching works is very like I'm like, why is this how it works? But I guess it is what it is. Online education, man. Like I mean, so LLM Zoom. Do you have any interesting updates on the LLM one for this next cohort? Like, are you making any curricula changes?
So what we had last year. So last year, I thought at the beginning I was a bit skeptical about all the LLM stuff.
Yeah.
What changed my mind is when one of the students of our ML course, he copy pasted a poem about the course from ChatGPT. So he asked ChatGPT to write a poem. ChatGPT wrote a poem and he pasted this in Slack. And I thought, okay, maybe this is a thing I should look into. It was like a couple of years ago.
That's cool.
And then like it exploded.
Mhm.
But at the beginning I was like, okay, like it seems like a cool thing. I should keep an eye on that. But I wasn't sure like if this is the right time to make a course. Maybe I was a bit late to the party, but only last year we started the first course. And maybe it was actually, yes, we were late, but also tools became a bit more stable, even though like every day you wake up and you see like 5 new tools on Hacker News. But still, like I think the core is more stable, like it doesn't change drastically. So we launched last year. I thought last year, if we don't do the course now, it will be too late because everyone is doing courses about LLMs already. So we did a course, and in this course, we showed how to build a RAG application. So a RAG application is when you have some knowledge base, you want to be able to talk to a chatbot about this knowledge base. And the knowledge base we used, in all our courses, we have a FAQ document, like frequently asked questions. So we have a document from ML course, from data engineering course, from ML ops course. So there were 3 documents. Then for this new course, we also have another one. So this was our knowledge base. So the use case we had was a student comes and they have a question about the course. So then they can talk to the chatbot and ask the question about the course, and the chatbot would reply. So this is a super practical thing because this is something we have to deal very often. Somebody comes to Slack, they don't bother going through this FAQ document, they don't bother even scrolling a bit up to see if this topic has been discussed already, even though maybe like the previous message is literally about this question, right?
Yeah.
So we wanted to help the students. And we actually, one of the students, one of the community members, he implemented a bot like that.
Yeah.
So there is a bot in Slack that indexes the FAQ document, indexes the Slack dump every day. And then when somebody has a question, they simply can tag the bot and the bot answers. So in this course, we show how to build a bot like that. And
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was cool. So what we showed there was, first of all, we talked like about the basics of RAG. So in the first module, we just show, okay, like this is how you index data with Elasticsearch. This is how you connect to OpenAI. This is how you build your prompts. And if you think about this is super engineering heavy topic. And this is not just engineering, but even I might call it data engineering to some extent, because you have Elasticsearch, which this is your knowledge base. The data needs to go in, right? So you want to constantly index all your knowledge. So the data needs to flow into your database. And you also need to be able to make requests to this database in a reliable way, right?
Oh yeah.
So it's kind of data engineering, right? We just call it differently. So at the end, so this is a very engineering heavy topic. We don't go into internals of LLM, so we don't teach how LLMs actually work. We just show how to use them.
Yeah.
So that was the first module. We built a simple chatbot using Elasticsearch and using OpenAI. In the second module, we showed how to do it with open source, because there are many open source models, and instead of OpenAI, you can use something else. Then we talk about vector databases, because Elasticsearch is a text database. If you switch to a vector database, you can get better performance. So like then, I don't know, word like course and program they are kind of similar, right? So
Yeah.
let's say a person says, can I begin the course now, or can I start the program now? They mean the same thing, but like if you use text search, you might not be able to find the answer. So vector databases help to actually discover this answer. So we cover that. And then we cover evaluation. So you don't want to just blindfoldly move and think, okay, like just use your gut feeling to rely if the answers are good or not. So you want to actually have a reliable way of evaluating that your search works and the entire thing also works.
Yeah.
Right? So we show how to evaluate that. Then we show monitoring. So monitoring is like you want to monitor costs. You want to see what kind of questions the user ask. You want to see thumbs up, thumbs downs, things like that. So we show monitoring. And at the end, I think it's just best practices, like how you combine different searches, then how do you rank results from your search engine and things like that. So this is what we covered last year. It was quite comprehensive. So it was like, I guess, 6 weeks.
Nice.
And this year we changed it slightly. So also there was orchestration, like in data engineering or in ML engineering. You sometimes want to build a pipeline. So these ingestion pipelines, it's actually, as I said, it's nothing else but data engineering. So of course you also need an orchestrator that will help you with putting data to your knowledge base, right? So we had also a workflow, an orchestrator model. So this year will be slightly different. So we will remove an open source LLMs module to a separate course. So there will be a separate course about just open source LLMs.
Nice.
This will do. Then instead of using Elasticsearch as a vector storage, we will use a different database. It will be Quadrant. And then for monitoring, we will also use, so we used Grafana. We will use a specialized tool for monitoring LLMs.
Nice.
Yeah, these are roughly the changes. So because things change in this area. So unlike machine learning, where I can record a video and use it for the next 5 years, right? You cannot really do this with LLMs. So with LLMs,
it's too rapid. Yeah, you have to
Yeah.
iterate a bunch of times, definitely.
So yeah, so we will make some changes. And I'm really looking forward to running this edition, so it will be slightly different. The tools will be updated, and then also, as I said, there will be an extra course about that focuses just on open source LLMs. Because I think the first one we had at the end, nobody used open source; they would just use a provider because it's so much more difficult to run an LLM locally compared to just using I don't know, OpenAI or
it's the cloud thing. It's that cloud versus Docker thing again, man.
Yeah,
like
exactly. So that's why
LLM is like next level though. It's like next level, like Docker, like download it and get all the weights in there and all that stuff. It's like it's a lot for sure. Like
we decided to split them. Well, I mean mostly me, but I decided to split them into two models, into two courses. Sorry, in the first course we focus on building applications with LLMs, and we use a hosted LLM. There are some free providers that we can use, like Grok, for example. All you need to do is just click a button, and then you get an API key that you can use. While for OpenAI and Anthropic, you have to pay some money. So some students are okay with paying money. Many students are not, so then they also have an option. And then in the other course, I am talking with AMD. AMD will provide hardware, so students can actually use this hardware to run the model. So they will, because you cannot run LLMs on your laptop. Laptops are not powerful enough. So AMD will give us access to their hardware, so we can run LLMs there. So this is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing, man. Dude, it's a lot. I'm excited for you, man. That sounds like a great time. I think what you're doing is very, very inspiring. And like, I think that like, thank you so much for coming on to this. And like, this is very, very, I learned a lot, and I'm sure everyone else here learned a lot. Yeah, we have another person coming on next here. We have Arimas. Like, how's it going, Arimas?
Pretty good. Can you hear me? Yeah, I think you can.
Yeah. How's it going? Do you guys know each other?
Not really, not directly, I guess.
Oh yeah. Like I mean,
Well, we've seen each other on LinkedIn, right? I
yeah,
think
yeah,
we-
right.
Exactly.
It's amazing, amazing. Yeah, well, it's good times, man. I'm excited for this. Dude, we only have 6 more hours, and then I'm done.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Zach, maybe you want to take
You'll
a
sleep
bio
over,
break.
maybe.
Right. Yeah. I'm actually gonna take a break here for like 2
Yeah.
3 minutes. I'll be
Okay.
back in just a second. Arina.
Zach, before you go, I just wanted to say bye because I
Yeah.
will be leaving. So thanks a lot for doing this. Thanks
Yeah, yeah.
everyone for joining me today, for being active. I saw some comments. So amazing. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah,
We'll
for
see each
sure.
other soon. So I'll now just need to figure out how I leave. So bye everyone. And now you two have fun. So
Thanks. Bye.
How's it going, Arimus? Nice to like. I'm glad you could make it. We are now in the 18th hour. We're getting there. Like I'm excited for like when it's like daytime in America again, and then people are gonna be like, Zach, you're still on this call.
So first of all, thank you for doing this because it's really crazy, 24 hours, right?
Yeah, it's lovely though. I'm like,
Please.
I guess like the thing that I've been loving about this, right? That's been so crazy is okay, there's two things that I realized. Like, so one is, so there's a statistic about podcasts, right? And the statistic is like, if you do 20 podcast episodes, right, you are in the top 1% of podcasts. Like, and so part of me was like, damn, I made me way more proud about what I'm doing today, because I'm like, what if you do 24 podcast episodes in one day?
Yeah.
what percentile are you in then?
You're like Mr.
Right.
Beast of live streams, right?
And like, I think the other thing that's been so crazy though as well is like, just like, because I've just been talking with so many people back to back, is that like, I'm like, oh yeah, this guy said this thing in this other conversation just a little bit ago, and now I'm like, oh, all these things are like coming together, and like it feels connected, So, anyways, I know there's going to be a lot of people in this who like want to get to know you better. Can you give people a little bit more of an introduction about who you are and what you're about?
Sure. So I'm Aurimas in data space for the last 14 years now, I think. My journey throughout the data was interesting, I guess, to some, because I've definitely had many hats that I tried. So I started as a actuary, then data analyst, data scientist, machine learning engineer, data platform engineer, regular platform engineer, MLOps enginer, now AI engineer. So I was also kind of for 5 years.
Have you
leading.
just had every job title? Like, I mean, what was that? What was that? That was just like, I've done it all. All right, I've done it all. Like, that's amazing.
Maybe most of the job titles, yeah. And
now
also,
you're founder and CEO. So like, I mean, yeah, dude. Like, I mean, it makes sense, because it's like, okay, in order to be CEO, right, you have to have every other job first, right? And that's you.
Yeah. Also for 5 years, I was also leading teams, right? But you know how it is at startup world. In startup world, it's like 30% leadership 140% hands-on. Right?
Yeah, right. Oh, for sure, dude, for sure. I
And
mean,
that's how it was. Yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, and then recently I was also chief product officer at Neptune AI, which still is a platform for experiment tracking, SaaS platform for experiment tracking for teams that are training their own foundation models. So the teams that actually build the frontier large language models that we are all using.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's it. So I decided to leave, and now I'm on my own, and I'm doing education, I'm doing content creation, and I'm also doing consulting. So I'm building agentic systems hands-on for enterprises mostly.
That's really cool. That's really cool. I mean, what tools are you using to do that?
So I almost always start pretty bare. So no specific frameworks. Few maybe for very basic things like ensuring that structured outputs are coming back correctly, that retries are handled for you. So tools like Instructor as an example. But eventually you kind of start needing more advanced tooling. So I know that many people would disagree, but I do like LangGraph for agentic systems, also some Crew AI for observability. And again, I'm falling back to most popular ones. So Langsmith is the tool I choose when it comes to observability, even though I know that there are 20 different options. For routing, Light LLM, for orchestration. So sorry, for instrumentation, usually the same library, almost always the same libraries that you're actually orchestrating with. So in this case, LangGraph or Langsmith's SDK. Right?
Dude, that's amazing. I'm teaching an AI boot camp here in like about a month, and it's gonna be awesome. I'm excited to it's just like there's so many tools out there, and like I guess it's like because everyone wants to win, everyone wants to be the spark of freaking LLM. Everyone wants it. They want that. They want to win, right? And it's just like, it's one of those things where it's like, where it's gonna it's probably gonna consolidate. There's like this giant Cambrian explosion, and then people are gonna pick 3. And then that's gonna be it, right? And then it's just gonna I don't know. It's like I think it's one of those spaces where it kind of lies a little bit, where everyone's like, yeah, but AI is the future. It's like one of these things where it's like, no, we can support 37 vector databases. We need all 37 options, right? It's like, and I mean, I don't know, man. Like it's interesting. It's very interesting. That's so when you're building these agentic systems, do you have examples? I guess when I hear agentic systems, it's still a word that I'm skeptical of. I guess a little bit of what are these systems doing? I guess in the cases here.
So when I say agentic system, I literally mean everything that we are talking about today. So agent for me is an agentic system. Agentic workflow is an agentic system. RAG for me is also. Okay, so RAG itself is not an agentic system, but once there's some agents added to it, it's for me already agentic system. So I did quite many chatbots, but not in a natural kind of definition. When you think about the chatbot, it's something that you ask a question and then you get an answer, right? But then a point in time comes very oftenly when an organization wants to have a kind of background process that would also automate some tasks in the background given a specific user query. So answering question is one route. Another route is maybe kind of managing shopping cart for you.
Yeah.
So this is an agentic system for me. And these are the most natural use cases in enterprises that have any agency to them, right? Because what you want to do, you want to react and either create Jira tickets automatically so that your customer support agents don't need to interact that much directly with a chat, but we already have tickets pre-created for them so that we can use Jira or something to.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense, actually. Okay, that makes because it's like I don't know. Sometimes, like, I guess, like that word, I guess, like, and maybe this is just like my perception of words right now, is that like, I guess when I hear like the word agent, right, I still like, it feels still very like 2040 for some reason. It feels like it's like too far in the future. But I know I know the future is today because things are moving so fast. But it's also like that is what it is, because it's like, it's not a normal system. It's not like a deterministic normal, like, rest based system or whatever. It's definitely like something new, right? And I don't know, like, it's interesting. It's interesting. So like, I guess one of the things I'm curious about for you is, because you were doing data engineering for a while. I know, right?
Yeah.
You were teaching a lot of data engineering stuff. That's like, I've been familiar with your content for many years. Like, and
Not
so
many,
like,
3, right?
yeah,
3 probably.
yeah. I mean, many. That in three in LLM years is many. Okay,
Yes.
but like what I'm trying to say is that like, okay, so like, what like motivated you to make a shift here, I guess, to like kind of like be, so are you, do you feel like you're more focused on this like LLM AI space now versus like data engineering, or like you think you're like kind of in both, or?
So I was always, from the very beginning, I was not a data engineer. Data engineering came to me as a realization that there's more work to be done on data side than it is on actual machine learning and data science. So I was initially data scientist and then machine learning engineer. And I was kind of very drawn in by the ideas back then. And back then, when I say back then, that's 2017, I think, or 16, when Michelangelo paper from Uber came out, and they were talking about these large machine learning platforms meant to do to automate a lot of machine learning processes for practitioners. And then I started digging deeper into the tech side of all of it, right? So data science and machine learning engineering. Then I I got to know distributed systems like Kafka, Spark, etc. And I kind of got really drawn into them because the ideas kind of very much resonated with me, and I wanted to start building more complex systems than just regular machine learning and data science. And then I also noticed that there's so much work on the data side to make data science work. So that's when I shifted to data engineering, because I got an opportunity to do that and actually work on not a small data, but larger big data, but rather big data in a large startup that had hundreds of terabytes and close to petabytes of data.
Amazing.
So I worked there for quite some time, but I was always still looking into machine learning side of it, right? Because I was sitting very close to machine learning engineers and all of the recommendation systems that were being built in the company, and eventually even moved to data platform, where I was responsible more for tooling rather than writing SQL queries and migrating data warehouses, which we did, by the way, as I was also data engineer back then.
Yeah, I love that. It's
So I
so
always-
crazy. One of the things I just want to call out here that's just so crazy to me is that like the way that you're talking right now is like, I'm like, are you me? Like, I don't know, it's very weird. It's like very like, I'm like, I feel very like, it feels very relatable. Very like a lot of the stuff, like a lot of like, oh yeah, like, working in big data, working large scale, realizing that like that's the space that really, because I feel like everyone bought the data science unicorn myth. Everyone was like bought in a little bit, where they're like, okay, if we can just do data science, we're gonna make a lot of money, right? And then everyone's like, wait, if we can just do data engineering, we can make a lot of money. And then it's like, and now like we're like in this new era where like it's starting to, I feel like we're finally starting to get all the pieces of the puzzle together, where things are like people are realizing like, okay, like now like I've always wondered like if we're gonna come back around to the data science unicorn myth, where it's like, okay, now we have LLM. So if you're a data engineer with an LLM and you can create high quality data and use an LLM, are you now a data science unicorn? That's like
that's a good take. But it's like AI engineering and building on LLMs. It's still so much work with data, right? Because stitching up the pipeline, the topology is not that hard. Maybe okay, so it is relatively hard, but not that hard. The hardest pieces, I believe, in building a large language model based system is one, evaluating it, right? So how do you make sure that it works correctly and you continuously evolve it to not become worse and continue improving? And another side is how do you crunch the data so that it has all of the needed context? So this is where RAG comes, and I think that most of agentic systems do have at least some flavor of RAG in them, right? So you need to prepare the data, you need to understand how to query the data. That's data engineering.
I love that.
Data engineering.
You know what's interesting? Like so there's this company and it's an open source library called Addleflow. I'm an investor in this company as well, but they that's what they're working on, is that exact problem where it's like, because there's like, okay, it's like monitoring and then also understanding like, okay, like how do we make the prompt better?
Yeah,
like that is like black box, very black box. I mean, well, it's like, unless you can evaluate, if you can evaluate and you can create like good evaluation criteria, then there's other methods. Addleflow actually gives you this. So if you have a good set of evaluation criteria for your LLM, then what Addleflow will also do is it can create like an optimized prompt for your evaluation criteria. So, and it will like try to spin up and be creative and like kind of like cranks up the temperature and like is like, all right, let's try a bunch of different crazy prompts and like we'll find the prompt that is the most effective for your evaluation criteria. And like it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool because it's like then like you can actually increase the accuracy of your for your tasks quite dramatically that way. Like as opposed to like, you know, trying to just throw spaghetti at a wall. I guess like when I think of prompt engineering, I'm always like, all right, like, do I need to put a semicolon here or an enter or like, you know, a hashtag or like, you know, it feels like there's like some, you know, best practices, but at the same time, it also still feels very like flimsy. It feels very like what else do I need to be doing differently here? You know, like, I mean, it's wild.
And
like
they are using both Addleflow and DSPI. I think they kind of compete a little bit, right?
Definitely, 100%.
The market. So it's a well-known procedure in regular machine learning, right? Where you perform either very naive grid search on all kinds of different hyperparameters to kind of find the best set. So you fine-tune the models with continuously train, not fine-tune the models with those pre-selected parameters. This is here. It's the same, right? You have a prompt, you have temperature, you have type of model, and few other parameters. I forgot the names, but basically you have 5, I think, hyperparameters or so. You do some grid search, but I think you mostly work on figuring out the prompt structure, right? To answer your because if you crank up the temperature, if it is some very strict values that you want to get out of the model, which is usually the case because you want some structured output coming out, you will not get that, right? Because you will get random values each time.
Well, I mean, but that's why it does a barrage of prompts, though, and that increasing the temperature will give it gives it more creativity on like the possible prompt candidates for your task at hand, right? And so like, and you're right in that like it probably because it will, a lot of those prompt candidates will fail. Right. That's like, it's kind of like the nature of like when you increase the randomness of it. But it's like, if you throw enough spaghetti at the wall, like maybe one of them sticks. Right. Maybe. But like, it's also one of those things that I've always wondered about is like, is there a possibility of like overfitting here? If there's a possibility of like, it works good for your evaluation criteria, but not for the other shape of like potential other tasks that are not necessarily in your evaluation criteria. That I've always wondered like how they kind of work out for that. And there's probably some risk there, but I don't know. It's so like, how do you set up like evaluation criteria for your LLMs, like in these like, I don't know, engagements, or like, is that something that they require when you're building these agentic workflows, or like, Is that or do they just like, are they just happy with like it running in prod or whatever?
Very rarely anyone knows what they want, right? Because with these systems, you have a business problem to be solved, and then you come in and you solve the problem. So what they want is, and we are referring, I guess, to either most likely business stakeholders, right? So they want
for
us
sure.
to come up, they want us to come up with. We don't know that they want us to come up with that, but we are coming up with specific KPIs that we want to improve. So these are usually numerical metrics of some process, some effectiveness of some process in the enterprise, and you want to increase the effectiveness of that process. It could be counted in, if it's customer support, it could be counted in headcount. It could be counted. It can be calculated by how much time on average it takes to close a ticket, and similar. So these kinds of things are the ones that they, business stakeholders, want us to improve, and it's up to us to make it work. But the only way you can actually make it work is first defining those smaller metrics that you want to optimize, that would eventually optimize the lagging metric, right? Which could be average time taken to close a ticket. Then you want to figure out what kind of topology, agentic topology, can actually improve that. Then you want to narrow that down into sub-steps. For each of the sub-steps, you want to have evaluation data set. And for each of the evaluation data sets, you want to have set of evals defined. One for those and one end-to-end, right? So end-to-end is usually still a single set, because you have an input and then a final output, even though it's split into smaller pieces.
And like, I don't know, like, I think like some of the business stakeholders might be like, dude, sounds like a lot of over engineering here, bro. Can't you just give me the prompt? Like, I don't know. There's like because I don't know. I feel like there's some marketing with LLM still that's like, with a couple, spicy words of English and a dream, you can solve all of your business problems. Like, and it's like, I don't know. It's like, there's still like a lot of this stuff, this reproducibility, this where you could like, what if the model changes? Like, it's like, I think it's like, but the thing I love, this is the thing I love about it though, right? Is that there are tasks in the business space, like this ticket task thing that is very interesting, is that like, if it's not absolutely mission critical, or it's gonna, if you think about like worst case scenario, what would happen, like if it bugs out, like if there's not like a great deal of downside, then the evaluations don't matter as much, right? Because it's like there's not like because of the fact that like, what's the risk of like throwing it out there and just like, even though as an engineer personally, I don't like it, because it's like, I mean, I like my determinism, I like my like predictability, I like my item potency, like all of the things that we were taught in data engineering that were good and should be cherished. And then LLM is like, no. Like, no. It's just like the opposite, right? It's like literally the opposite. And it's like, it's very interesting how like, but I've noticed this like codes. So I have an auto grader in my business, right? And it's amazing. And I have no evaluation criteria on it. My evaluation criteria is my students like will complain. Right. And they'll say the LLM got me a bad grade. Right. And then I'm like, obviously I could try to make it more automated, like, and I could have a better like feedback there of like, oh, the LLM got it wrong this time. But like at the same time, like I like in some cases for those students, I'm like, can you just submit it again? And sometimes the LLM will do a better job the next time, right? And it's like even with the same thing, but it's wild.
But I can tell you where it starts to matter. So imagine you create those tickets, let's say Jira tickets for an agent to solve, but then you want the agent to solve them and create an order, right? Or actually fill in the shopping cart, for example, and ask the client to just pay the money, right? So that's when it starts to matter. And when you think that you're doing this kind of action, and in order to do that kind of action, you need all of the previous actions to be 100% accurate, then it starts to matter, right? So of course, QA chatbots the evaluations are relative, right? Because you can measure correctness or how much of the data retrieved from databases are actually added to the answer, etc., etc. But those are very, nothing bad will happen probably if you give an answer which is not 100% correct. Like ChatGPT was giving us those answers 4 years now anyway, right?
It's
Incorrect
been
ones.
ChatGPT has been making up some bullshit, and
Yes.
for some time now. For some time, yeah. How many R's are in strawberry, bro? Like,
that's also where, at least for me, most of the previous projects, kind of the area that projects were in, right? They required those high accuracy outputs so that the processes could be automated. And even if there is a human in the loop, eventually that would kind of allow you to press a button and then everything just happens in the background, right? Users will kind of stop adopting your product if it's only 70% of the times correct, if they need to edit something. The UX is also very important because you need to ensure the adoption of what you're building. And if the users are not adopting it, then you kind of wasted a lot of money for the company, and then your project gets deprioritized and you're out.
Yeah. I wonder, like, so I guess like with this Jira ticket example that you're talking about, where it's like there's a ticket and then so there's like something happens, like, so is this like essentially two agents? An agent creates a ticket and then another agent pulls this and then does a thing? Is it
There's
like
one way to look at it is exactly that, but you can think of it as 2 stages. So you never create an end-to-end agentic flow. You try to start small, like figure out one piece and then figure out the next piece. Because you could just have one long workflow that both kind of figures out what needs to be done, and then even without creating a Jira ticket, continues to implementing that process eventually. So you could think of it as a single agent, or you can implement it as 2 agents, because it makes sense, at least from software engineering perspective, because creating Jira ticket will most likely always be very similar. It will take very similar amount of time to create a Jira ticket, but the task that is described in a Jira ticket might take very different amount of time depending on what kind of task is in the ticket, right? So you can decouple those systems and even make it so that there is a router agent that reads the ticket and redirects the ticket to a different agent that is specifically kind of meant to solve that kind of task.
Yeah.
It really depends on how you think about it. I like this decomposition type of thing. And it also depends on how many complex tools your agents need to have, because it has been shown that if you give an agent more than 10 tools, you kind of start getting diminished accuracy, because you get not tool poisoning, but tool exhaustion, or however it's called. But the agents then cannot use those tools effectively comparatively to less tools having agents, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to create a huge agent that does everything, then you might need too many databases, too many tools to achieve that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And like, I don't know, that just seems like it comes back to like that anti-pattern of like the God controller, like where it's like you just have that one controller in your REST system. There's probably like, I wonder, it's like, is that going to be like one of those like monolith versus microservice debates of like how much responsibility is one agent supposed to have, right? Like versus like passing it to like having some sort of like exchange in between agents. That's like it's an interesting like architecture kind of debate there, right? Of like and how is that going to be different like going forward? And like, and Netflix is going to be it's going to be the Netflix micro agent architecture, and everyone's going to oh, I can see it now, man. I can see it now. And then everyone's gonna go to that architecture, and then they're gonna be like, this was not the way I was supposed to go. Like
I'm not sure if it will be Netflix, but the debates are already happening, right? Because when you think about what Anthropic is saying and what other big labs are saying, they are kind of suggesting different approaches to solving these agentic problems. So Anthropic is always about making it simple and having a one agentic workflow rather than having multi-agent architectures, while OpenAI and Google and others are kind of more behind multi-agent architectures. So we have small agents and then they interact with each other. And I'm seeing a question from Marin Marcus.
Oh, dude, it is amazing.
Guys, why do we call it all agents these days? Weren't they all bots at first and then personas or whatever? Not sure. But getting back to the previous discussion point, so now we have those protocol wars, right? We have MCP, we have A2A, etc. So A2A is all about how multiple agents can actually communicate with each other and pass on the state and instructions to other agents. So I do believe that what we are seeing today is kind of leaning towards the future of multi-agent architectures rather than agentic workflows, even though what I'm seeing in enterprises is that we are still in agentic workflows rather than multi-agent architectures.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. It's very interesting. Like, I'm excited for all this stuff to kind of like, I know it's going to be another couple of years. I know it's going to be super annoying with like the language of a lot of this stuff, or at least another couple of years of like what actually it's similar, like what a data engineer was for a long time. You know, I thought I was in big data for a long time. I'm like, I'm not a data engineer, but I'm like a big data guy or like a big data engineer. I feel like I had big data in my title for a while, and then they got rid of big. And everyone was just a data engineer, and now I'm like, okay, fine. Like
data engineers are kind of everything, right?
Yeah.
They do all of the shitty things that are left out.
Yeah. I mean, and like, it's gonna be. I think like, okay, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this, because it's like, how do you think all this agent and LLM stuff is going to impact data engineering as a role? Like, that's I've asked this question to like a lot of the people over the last 18 hours, and I'm curious what your thoughts are, because it seems like you of like almost everyone I've interviewed, it seems like you are someone who like has a very like a pretty like deep experience in both, and so like I'm curious for sure.
So I didn't hear averse opinions, but like LLMs and the coding assistants and coding agents already kind of help data engineers to do their job. At some point in time, for example, I know that data engineering is more writing SQL and configuring like Kafka, etc. But I was a little bit rusty with, let's say, pandas skills recently because I wasn't using it that much. And then what it would take me usually a few hours to kind of figure out and stitch up, I can now do in 5 to 10 minutes, right? By utilizing LLMs, because we know how to, let's say, use pandas functions best. And you can even if you want to, let's say, parse out some values that are large strings, but they have a lot of unstructured info in there, you can just copy paste some examples, expected outputs, and the LM will simply write you a pandas function that will make all of that for you, right? So data pre-processing is a lot easier, for example.
It's so easy. So like,
very easy.
I mean, like, I love it. I actually love it, because like I've always found writing that code to be so kind of brain dead anyways. So I'm just like, yes. I know that's a string. All right. I know it's a bool. All right. I get it.
Like, yeah. Or those pipes kind of split those values and then comma split those values. But how do you write that in one function, right? That's so boring in general. So definitely a lot of boring stuff will be, I think, automated. Not fully automated, but assisted. I'm not a huge fan of vibe coding. I'm a fan of assisted coding.
Vibe coding is tough, dude. It's a tough one. Like I mean, I don't know, because it just feels like I guess I'm not a big fan of vibe coding because it just feels like it takes all the responsibility of like the functionality away from the engineer. It's like it's like this whole thing of like, yeah, like I'm gonna build something where the buttons click and everything. But if you ask me about anything underneath, like I it's like that, you know, that there's this like Homer Simpson meme where it has like the front end and the front end looks nice and then the back end's all like fucked up, right? And like it reminds me of that meme a little bit because it's like, I don't know, I think we should be able to like understand like what our systems are doing, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like that is not an unreasonable ask. Honestly, that's like a pretty solid, like reasonable ask for sure. Like,
yeah, so we can actually come back to that, but I'll finish this one. So when I do assisted coding, for example, even if I do a lot of vibe code-ish type of coding, right? So you can ask an LLM to create a few functions for you, right? That's not a big problem, but you always instruct the LLM to follow these or these patterns and point them to these specific objects and remind the LLM that this is how you want your software to be architected, right? So then if you can do that, it kind of works. But this is for the code part, right? But there's a lot of infrastructure in data engineering, which I think is not yet covered by LLMs in any way. So when I was data engineer, I was also responsible for a lot of data ingestion pipelines that were not only SQL, but all of the ingestion endpoints that would collect the data, and then it would span out that data into multiple topics, and then those topics would consolidate again somehow, right? There's a lot of
like
configuration.
Like Kafka stuff, or
so distributed queues. There was Kafka, there was Kinesis.
like SNS, SQS, those kind of.
Yeah. So SNS, SQS is not distributed, so not that much, right? It was big data, so it was mostly Kinesis, Kafka. But there's a lot of configuration there, rebalancing, making sure that the services that actually collect the data and push the data to those topics are actually alive, right? So there's just a lot of non-SQL work, at least for me. It was for me in the data engineering space. There was also a lot of work in not figuring out, but ensuring that not data, but software engineers that actually produce the data follow the schema that you expect, right? So how do you make sure that your pipelines don't break, even though the SQL is nice, right? There's a lot of work in business-facing, a lot of business-facing work, because you need to figure out what needs to be done, right? There's a lot of soft work involved. It's not just coding.
That's like the thing. Like I remember I've had this like kind of, it's like a meme. I've definitely posted this on Twitter or something like that, and it went at least mildly viral. Is that like data engineering will only be completely automated by LLM when stakeholders can accurately describe what they want, right? And it's like, and it's like, good luck. Yes. I know, it's just like that feels like, like the universe will collapse before that happens. I guess it's like, because that's the whole job of the data engineer, is to like kind of like meet the needs of the stakeholder, right? And it's like, and they a lot of times they don't even know what they want, so. Yeah.
And maybe it is to some extent fixed in those large companies like FANG companies. Maybe it is. I don't know because I wasn't part of them. But in regular companies, regular enterprises that have, let's say, 1,000, 2,000, or 3,000 employees, there definitely nothing is fixed. Nothing is working correctly as it should.
No, and I mean, FANG is not. It's not much better. It's not better.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, I would say that things are better in the fact that like everyone, I guess, because I worked in like, I worked in a lot of like different size corporations before working in big tech. And like, I feel like the main difference is that in big tech, there's just this expectation that everyone is like pretty technical. Like there's this bit, it's like essentially that like every engineer I worked with in big tech, I was like, all right, this guy's a freaking beast. He understands everything. He understands like the whole like stack, right? And understands like all the pieces of it. And that like there's a culture behind that of like, yeah, no data matters, no tech matters, no efficiency matters. Like, and there's like a lot of like value in that. Whereas like, I feel like in other companies and other organizations, it's like, no, the only thing that really matters is solving the business question. Right. And there's like, and then that's like the only thing that really matters. And they don't have as much of a balancing act between like the tech debt and the other side versus like because I mean, when you're at these companies, it's kind of, the scale kind of forces you to do that too. Cause it's like, I mean, I can solve the business question really fast. If you want to pay me, if you want to spend $25 million in the cloud right now, let's do it. All right. Right. Or I need to think about it and we can probably get it down. We can lower the cost a little bit, but like, yeah, like there's I think I don't even think that that's necessarily like a symptom of culture, but just a symptom of like, that's just how scale works,
And what I've seen is that in those, let's say, smaller enterprises, again, small meaning 3,000 people, let's say.
Yeah.
What happens is that you tend to prioritize the business value first, right? Then you kind of answer a lot of questions, and then you have a chunk of time, let's say half a year, then you're optimizing everything, right? So that it works fast because the costs spin out of the control, right? So then you optimize, then you again can answer questions quicker and better, then you optimize again and you optimize again. So it's not always optimize first and answer questions, but rather answer, optimize a lot, and then answer, optimize a lot, right? So in batches.
Yeah.
That's what I see, at least.
Yeah. I mean, dude, it's wild. It's wild where things are going to go. Like, I mean, okay, I guess another kind of follow-up question I was wondering about is like, what is your plan with a Swirl? Like, what are you trying to do with your company besides, I guess, so you're doing consulting right now and content, like, and what is like Swirl's mission?
So first of all, we are also again, we are competitors to you because we are also launching a bootcamp in 1 month.
Let's go.
Yeah. So we are also launching an AI engineering, but basically end-to-end AI engineering bootcamp where we will be teaching everything from the simplest architectures like RAG to continuously evolving them to agentic RAG, to agents, to multi-agent systems. Also introducing concepts like MCP and A2A into those multi-agent systems. Also going through best practices of LLM ops, so observability, evaluation, also adding those elements like routers to your system, etc., while building out a real world project while doing that.
That's amazing, man.
So this is part of the education. Yeah, this is part of education efforts that we are currently focusing on. The next piece is, as mentioned, consulting. Then content, so free content on my newsletter, on LinkedIn.
Are you on Substack? What's your newsletter, bro?
Swirl AI.
Swirl AI, dude, you should get on Substack, bro. Swirl AI.
I am on Substack, but yeah. So there's also a long story about.
Oh, newsletter.swirlai.com is okay. This is okay. Okay. No, I'm just like, one second. I need to recommend you, bro. I don't recommend you right now. I need to do that. Like I freaking yeah, like because there was because I know that like it'd be good. Okay,
because I started it 3 years ago, almost when I started content creation in general, but I had a 1-year break because while being CPO at Neptune, I had very important responsibilities. So basically for a year, I had to stop almost any content creation. So
yeah,
we will see a gap there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a vibe. I mean, it's like it happens, I definitely think that that's a big thing that can definitely happened, right? And I mean, like it's very interesting how different things can go. But Substack's a vibe, dude. I'm glad you're on
Yep.
Substack. Substack's one of my favorite platforms. It's like,
I agree.
even though like I hate it for other reasons, I mean, I think that it's bullshit that like it just I don't know, like I love the network, all right.
Mhm.
I just feel like they haven't added anything in like a year. Like there hasn't they haven't actually done any product development. They've just been sitting on it for a year, and they're just like whatever. Right?
I can tell you what I hate the most, because
Yep.
and a lot of my content also includes code samples, right? So they don't
Yep.
even have a proper code editor, unfortunately, or a proper LaTeX rendering, so that you can somewhere in between your text add formulas, right?
Yeah, you're like, I need the integral symbol. All right.
Yes. And you can only do it as a dedicated line for an integral symbol.
Yeah, that's obnoxious. That's obnoxious. I think for me, I have like a different beef with Substack. I think my beef with Substack is more around that like I just wish that they had more, like they had some sort of programmatic thing I could do, because like I would love it. Like here's a thing that I would love, and I can't do it right now, is if someone buys my bootcamp, they get my paid newsletter for free. Because it's like, if they give me $2,000, sure, I don't give a shit. Take my newsletter. It's like, you deserve it. But no, there's no way you can do that. So what I have to do right now is I have my assistant freaking once a week. Anyone who buys has to be manually updated, and it's just like, I don't know, man. Like I mean, it's wild. It's like, it is like, but then it's like I can't go because freaking the network effect is too strong. The network effect is too strong, and that's why they don't care. They know they got everybody.
Yes.
They know nobody's leaving. All right, they know nobody's leaving, so they don't have any incentive really to freaking iterate that much on making new features available. You know, because it's just more work for them. But like, I mean, it's very interesting how you know, these different platforms like kind of develop, right, and kind of build out stuff. I mean, so when is your cohort start? This is it soon?
Yeah, it is June 20. Let me check. June 22nd, I think.
June 22nd. Boom. There you go. June 22nd. That's very
23rd. Actually, 23rd.
yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, cool. Is there a link for that? I'm sure there's a lot
Yeah,
of
I
people
have
who
a
would be
link.
interested in that. Yeah, like
It's in Maven, so I can just paste it.
Yeah.
So it's the first cohort I'm doing, so that's why it's
Yeah.
also on Maven. But
End-to-end AI engineering bootcamp.
yeah, this one.
Yeah, this is sick. Yeah, I found it. I'm gonna pop it up here in the freaking in the chat. Yeah, I got it. Cool. Like, I have to show you Tech Creator sometime. I'm building a Maven competitor, and like, cause I think you might be interested in
I might, because we were just
Yeah.
recently choosing the platform, so
Yeah.
we chose Maven because it's
It's popular. It's popping. Yeah. And they definitely have like a lot going on. And like, I mean, compared to like where I'm at with my platform, I mean, I already have a couple people. Like my platform, like I have like 5 creators on it, and they've made like over 6 figures now. So it's kind of interesting, because it's like the code I've written has now made people like 100K. And I'm like, that's a weird feeling. It's a very weird feeling when like you write code that gets other people paid. Right. And like, but like, definitely it has a, like, there's some, because the one thing, okay, I'll give you the quick spiel of like why Tech Creator is better than Maven. All right. So Tech Creator is more niche. So Tech Creator it's set up in such a way where like, if you want to teach in the cloud, right? So if you want to teach like Databricks or Snowflake or AWS, right? It will give students timed and budgeted accounts. So like when they buy, like they're not going to be like, they can have access to AWS, but they're only going to spend $250. Right. Or like they have like, it's like they have access to everything they need, but then it's like, it's budgeted. And then that's a big part of it. Right. And then it also a bunch of AI tooling, like the automatic grading. It's pretty sick. It's pretty sick. Like it works really, really well. I've had like 50,000 homework assignments graded with it now, and it's like people love it. And so like there's that, and then there's like the AITA. A lot of this stuff is just all AI based kind of stuff, right? And then it's all really built around Discord. So if you like really, Discord is the other big kind of like community management piece of it that like we use to kind of like get everything rolling. But yeah, it's fun. I mean, that's been my AI product that I've been building out, and like we're finally ready for other people. That's what Data Expert has been sitting on for like 2 years. Cause I was like, when I was thinking, like when I quit my job, I was like, should I use Maven? And like, I even talked with the CEO and he was like, Zach, get on Maven. And I was like, no, I will suffer. I will write all the TypeScript myself and I will have a freaking difficult time and make it way harder on myself, because then I will have a platform to show for it. Right.
People underestimate how much effort it is to integrate everything into those bootcamps, right? It's not that easy, especially once you start payments and
oh my god, for sure.
Sending automated emails,
and then like subscriptions, because I also, that's the other thing I have is like, if you want to like move to a subscription model where like people have access to your content over time, if you do like multiple different types of cohorts, then they can have like a one subscription model that can kind of open up to all of those, and that can be another really nice way to make some more money, you know. And so like because I like that passive revenue. The passive revenue from subscriptions is my favorite revenue, because like the bootcamp money is good. It's really good money, but it's like, oh, I got to work for it, dude. I got to bust my ass for that money, right? Whereas like the subscription money is just like, it's like.
But that's the goal, right?
Yeah,
educating the next generation of AI engine.
It's the good work, right? It's the good work. You gotta keep making better content, keep building that out, you know? And I mean, yeah, man. I mean, it's great. I mean, like, okay, so Swirl is about education as well. So it's like education, content.
Actually, we have two arms. We have Swirl AI Media, which is doing education and content creation, and YouTube very soon. And we have Swirl AI Labs that is doing the consulting piece.
Nice. Like I've always, you know, what's so crazy is that like that's very similar to like when I've been thinking about like my business, how it's structured, is like my problem is that like, I don't know, like it feels like you might have done a better job here, is that like you have like a media thing. Because my problem is like I have all these like media channels. I got YouTube, I got Instagram, I have all the, you know, I've done the social media work, but the problem is it's not, it's all based on me, right? It's not based on like Data Expert or based on like a company brand. It's all based on my personal brand. And I'm always like, what does that even mean? Like, does that mean that like, does that mean though I need to make another YouTube channel? Or like, and I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I don't know. It just feels very like, I'm lost. I'm a lost soul. Cause like, I also know I know if I ever want to sell my business, it can't be connected with my personal brand, because that doesn't make sense, right? Because otherwise I'm not gonna sell my personal brand. That's absurd. I'm not gonna sell like me, right?
Your name.
I'm like, can you acquire me, right? Like I mean, it's like it's very so like I don't know. That's like, but I like the business model, dude. I like what you're doing. You're crushing it, man. Like there's like this space is gonna be great. So have you done cohorts before?
No, this is the first cohort that I will be doing.
Nice.
That's why it's called cohort alpha.
Cohort alpha, dude. That's great.
But I do plan to scale it out, definitely. Like this is what I want to do, and I'm gonna continue doing it.
Yeah, dude. It's amazing. You're gonna find a massive amount of success here, especially like we should talk more, because I love marketing this stuff, and like I love like there's ways that you can market it to like get more people in, right? And do like this damn thing I'm doing right now, dude. Like this has been very good for sales. It's been very, very good for sales, because people are like, dude, how is this guy still awake? Like, it's like, if this is the energy he's bringing to the boot camp, then like I want him to teach me.
Please don't die on me. Please don't die on me.
Please don't die on me, right? I love that, man. I mean, dude, thank you so much for coming on today. Like I really appreciate it. So yeah, definitely everyone check out his course on Maven here, this end-to-end AI engineering. It's gonna be a sick one. I'm excited. I'm really excited for that. And hope you have a fantastic you have it's like morning for you or afternoon?
No, it's actually already 2 p.m.
Damn, it's 2 p.m. Holy shit. Okay, nice. Have a good afternoon then. It's like it's almost morning. I have like 2 more hours till I can see the sun. Like, and I'm like, oh, I'm excited for it. And I only have 5 more hours until I'm done. Like, so there's 5 more after you. And then I will be 9 a.m. and then I will immediately go to bed. And it's like it's a terrible time to go to bed because I'm I'll fuck up my schedule, but it's worth it. It's worth it.
Yeah.
Man, awesome. Thank you so much. I'm gonna take.
Thank you for the invite. Enjoyed
Yeah,
the chat.
for sure. Hi, have a
How
good
do I
one,
leave
man.
this? How do? Oh, there's a leave button.
Yeah, there's a leave button. I guess I don't know. Restream's a weird platform.
Yeah. Okay. Cheers.
Awesome. Have a good one. How's it going, everyone? We have 5 more hours. 5 more hours, and then I'll be done. Oh yeah, I forgot. Yo, like so the next 2 letters in the code are ON. So you can probably guess what it is if you've been following along this far. And just letting you know, like, if y'all can give me all of the codes back, like if one of you, oh, there we got Jade.
Hi.
Welcome, Jade. Welcome. We are now in the 19th hour. How's it going?
It's going well, thanks. How's it going for you? How are you feeling?
I mean, honestly, if I'm being honest right now, I have been better. All right. but I also know that like I'm getting there, and that like there's something about like I know because the very last session is with people in America again, right? And I know like I feel like if as long as I stay awake for that one, even if I'm just awake for 1 minute and then I crash in the live, I will be cheered. All right, I'll make it. Like, I mean, this is great. So, anyways, so everyone on the live, this is my sister Jade Wilson. She's
Have you ever been asked that actually?
yeah,
if you've
right.
been
Oh,
you've been related, I've been asked.
100%,
Yeah.
100%, millions of times. And I'm like, I always have to tell people, I'm like, not everyone with the last name Wilson is related. Well, probably are related. I bet at some point, if you go back in the tree, there's a good chance. Because I'm 50%, like I'm from like England. Like 50% of my like genetics are like English, right? So I'm like 50% English, and I'm like the other half is like Scandinavian. That's like my whole like genetic lineage. So there's a good chance that we probably are related, just probably not like siblings, you know, like
Very, very far back. Yeah, it's a very common name here, actually. I don't know if it is in the US.
Oh, it is. It's the 5th most common last name. Like
Yeah.
it's like there's like Smith, Johnson, Wilson. No, it's Smith, Johnson, Rodriguez, Gonzalez, Wilson. And those are the top 5, right? So
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, Smith
so
here as well, for
yeah,
sure.
Smith is like, I don't know how they crushed it so hard. Smith just is like everywhere, man. It's wild. I mean, so anyways, Jade, welcome to the show. Welcome to making it onto this amazing thing. Can you give a little bit more of a introduction to the people, to the fans, about like who you are, what you're about, what you care about, stuff like that?
Yeah, of course. So I am a software engineer at Microsoft. So I've been at Microsoft for like 2.5 years now, and yeah, I started like content creation as well, about a year and a half ago. Just because I saw loads of people like posting on LinkedIn, and it always felt really, really filtered, a lot of it. And so I just started posting with my honest views of the software engineering industry. And yeah, it just seemed to resonate with a lot of different people. And so I just kept doing it. And I just kind of said to myself, like, let's, just make sure like you post like once or twice a day. That was like the initial like goal. And then, yeah, it just kind of spiraled and snowballed into like, more and more and more. And then, yeah, since then, like I think I started out like at like just over 1,000, and then I got up to like 70K recently. And it's been a really interesting journey, like, because you go from this like creator who's just posting because they're interested in stuff, to people I start like asking you things and asking you for advice and things, and you kind of like, what? Like, what?
And you're
Why
like,
are you trusting me?
I don't know. I'm just dude. I don't know. I'm not, I don't know. Like what, I get you on that. There's like definitely an inflection point there where like you start to get like way more inbound, and then people are like, dude, this person's obviously doing something right. Or like, they're obviously like, making but it's like if you write content that resonates, right? And you write content that like, hits people, like either like, I like do you know Leah Turner?
Yes.
Leah Turner's like, so she was a creator who I bumped into like really early on in my journey. Like I was like, this is like 2020, right? And like it was very interesting. I actually got to meet her. It was super random because like she lives in England somewhere. And like but I went to like this random like marketing retreat in Denver, and then she was there, and I was like, wow, actually, like, you're a real person, and like, but it was very interesting, and to see like one of the things that I've noticed is that like as you go through this journey and like you're building up these brands and you're building up this like kind of perspective, is that like you get to a point where like people, they just love you. Okay, here's the next level for you though. Here's the next level. I'm curious to see if this has happened for you yet. Have you been walking on the street and someone has recognized you? Has that happened yet?
I've not had people walk on the street and recognize me. However, I have had like people from Microsoft, when I've been at events at Microsoft, who I don't know come up to me and be like, "Oh, I know you from LinkedIn," and I'm like, "Okay,
Oh,
hi,
you're like,
nice
oh,
to
that's
meet
you're
you."
like,
Like,
hey, that's
but
not creepy at all.
and then I've had people like message me from Microsoft as well, like just who again I've not met before, who've said that they've seen me on LinkedIn as well. So that's been nice, and
That's
it's been
beautiful.
nice that people who I wouldn't necessarily like say I'd ever like contact, because it's such a big company,
Mhm.
just reach out and connect, which has been really cool.
That's
So
amazing.
it's nice because you start like building that network of people, even internally, like at your own company and at
Yeah,
loads of different companies, just by posting.
I
But
love that.
I think one of the things that I think is really like what I notice about like creators who like seem to just either like do well is that they come across as authentic, I guess. They don't like they kind of say what they feel and what they want. So I think that
Mhm.
seems to be the most important thing, I think, being
I mean,
authentic, but also like especially like if I look at people like yourself and other people, just having really, really high quality content, which is the thing that I'm trying to focus more on recently.
yeah, it's both. I mean, there is that like, I don't know. I feel like there's this like, eh, as someone, I got ADHD, and there's definitely like there's like this like ADHD urge to just like shit post, just like I want to share every single thought I have with LinkedIn, every single one, even the bad ones.
Yeah.
And it's like not good. It's not good. But at the same time, it's not good, but it's also good, because I think there's a side of it. There's like a toxic side of that like kind of drive that is like where it's like maybe too far, but then there's also the side of like I also know that that's the same energy of why I'm able to write every day, right? There's like it's like this whole idea of like, because I think with other people it's like I know there's always those people out there who are like, how can you write every day? Like, have you been writing every day? How often do you post?
Yeah, so I, to be fair, like recently I haven't been as active. I'm trying to like figure out what I want to do with
No.
LinkedIn as a whole, but I've only recently just started my ADHD medication like 2 months ago. So I'm kind of going through that period of adjustment where like I'm getting titrated and I'm figuring out like what the right balance is. And so that's really, really affected like my posting and work and stuff like that. So once that seems to have sorted out, I think I'm going to be more active, but more, like I said, I'm trying to come up with a bit more of a long-term strategy for
Yeah,
like doing more high
definitely.
quality stuff.
Well, because you gotta make it worth it at the end of the day of like what are you trying to do, of like both like in terms of like what kind of content are you making that's true to you and that you find that is gives back to you in some sort of way. And there is that, because it's like I've definitely noticed this, because I've been on LinkedIn for like 5 years, right? And I've been posting almost every day for 5 years. And so like I've had a varying, wild, different relationship with the algorithm over that period of time. I know for sure in my first 2 years on the algorithm, it was literally, Zach, say whatever makes the algorithm get you the most views, right? And that is very bad for you. Like, because it comes back to like you are just freaking at the whim of the algorithm and the changes, and like it skews you towards saying more like charged crazy shit, because like that's the stuff that's gonna that's what gets you on LinkedIn lunatics. That's what gets you freaking to like get to that that next echelon, the million impression posts or whatever, right? But like I don't know, now just like what you're saying, it's like, no, step back, have a strategy, and figure out like how to provide more consistent value over a longer period of time. And that is how like you can do things, and then you also don't burn out, and you don't get this like all the intense dopamine of like going viral and like all that. Or you're like, bro, like it's like, I mean, now I guess it's so crazy, because like I guess like now that like that has happened to me so many times on LinkedIn, I'm like, I don't even feel it anymore. I don't even feel it. I'm like, I wish I remembered how it felt like the first time I went viral on LinkedIn, right? But now it's a drug that is too deep in my system, right?
Yeah, it's like a post as well, and you're kind of just like,
Like, okay.
Like you just get to a point where you just don't react to it anymore, do
Yeah.
you? And like sometimes I'm just like, why? Like it does well, and I'm like, oh my god, like it's doing well, and I'm getting loads of like hate on this. I just want to delete it.
There's a side of me that's like freaking like, yeah, there's definitely a side when I'm like, I'm posting, I'm like, dude, I don't have time to go viral right now. Or I'm like, I just want to just like turn it off. Yeah, delete it, like run away. You know what's so interesting is that like I've noticed like versus like other platforms, because you know I've created on like freaking every platform under the sun, even like ones that are like not even worth it. And like I've noticed that like other platforms, like for example, if I go viral on YouTube, it hits different. It hits different, bro. It still gets me good. Still gets me so good. I'm like, yeah, let's go. Or like viral Instagram still gets me good too. It's like if I do 1 million on Instagram, I'm like, this is life, right? But yeah, I feel like writing platforms, I don't feel it anymore. Twitter, I also don't feel it. I mean, and then Substack, you can't because it's like email, right? So it's like literally impossible to go viral on Substack. Like, but I mean, yeah, it's interesting.
It's really interesting. I think, like, especially like with LinkedIn, because I think my biggest gripe with LinkedIn is that like you pay to post essentially. Like, you know, I don't know if you have premium as well, but like, you know, you get premium, and then you end up being the one to pay to post. I mean, and so it's the only platform that charges you for like making the content, whereas like YouTube, you know, you get paid, and same with like I think other platforms.
I think it's like bullshit that like I have top voice and I still have to pay for premium. I think that is like, I'm like, guys, like give me the badge, but there's no benefit besides like I get a blue badge. That's it. There's like no other. I'm like, guys, like come on. But yeah, I'm with you on that. Like every other platform pays you, right? And then LinkedIn, no, you pay, right? And it's like, and they're just like, they don't give a shit. They don't give a shit. They're just like, this is just how it is. And honestly, there's a side of it that's actually one of the reasons why I like it. I actually prefer it that way because I know that it keeps some creators at bay. It keeps some creators off of the platform, like especially the creators who are chasing those ad dollars. Because it's like, I don't know, man. Like I'm kind of happy that, you know, like Logan Paul isn't on LinkedIn. Like honestly, like, you know, but it's interesting because Logan Paul is not on LinkedIn, but Mr. Beast is. Like Mr. Beast is on LinkedIn. So it's like, it's interesting to see like how people are moving over. But at the end of the day, I have to pay for premium because of open profile. Because it's like, once you have 30,000 connections, right, you're done. You're cooked. You can't have more than 30,000. It's like, you're done. And I'm like, and I'm at like 29,800 or something now. And I'm like, okay, like I've been very, very, like very slow about like, because I feel bad because it's like, I know like if I meet someone in person and they're like, let's connect on LinkedIn, I don't want to be that guy who's like, I can't, I'm too famous. That's like, that just feels like an asshole thing to say. So I'm like, okay, I have to leave a couple in the tank for people who I meat actually in person. And so yeah, it's like, it's scary, right? I mean,
it's really hard. And like, I don't know if you have how you do it, but like, I feel like I'll go through my connections and then they'll just fill up again. Like,
oh yeah,
like
no, yeah, it's never ending. Like it's like the mail, right? I know it's like it's I wish there was a delete all, but then I'm like, it's just another example of where like, you know, LinkedIn is not made for creators. It honestly is not made for creators in any way. There's so many ways. Like, okay, first off, we don't get paid. Second off, like we can't like clear out these, you know, invitations that we don't want, right? Because it's like, well, it's just a big stressful number when you go on that connections page and you're like, I don't want to scroll through it. I know I'm trying to get the inbox 0 here, but like it is, you know, it's an unrelenting force, right? And then like if you go to like the analytics on your post, you're like, oh, I don't even know how many followers this post gave me. You know what platform gives you that metric? Every other platform, all of them, except for LinkedIn. Like, and it's like, and they have the data, because you know what I hate the most about that metric not being on the posts is if you run an ad on LinkedIn, it gives you the metric. And I'm like, that's fucking dumb. Like, it's like, so it's like, honestly, you have it in the UI, it's flipped to off just to make creators mad and just to make it so like, oh, I don't know what the hell my content's doing. It's like, obviously, like, you know, I get the impression number and the like number, but that's it. Thanks for like nothing, guys. Like, It's like freaking likes are worth nothing, right? It's like I want the follow, I want the profile view, there's like so many other like deeper data points that matter way more than like, oh, someone clicked the like button, like it's like that doesn't really do much. Like
yeah, demographics is a big one as well. Like and I find like the demographics are terrible, like what it gives you.
Oh yeah.
Because it gives you like the city rather
Mhm.
than the country.
Mhm.
And like a lot of like brand partners want to know where the demographics are because they're targeting at specific like locations. And it's like, sorry, I can't give you that much. I can give you what I've got, but I can't give you very much.
This is so good. This is so good. I mean, okay. So you were saying that like so you got diagnosed with ADHD like 2 months ago, or like
Yeah, so I got diagnosed with autism first and then ADHD. And so I got diagnosed with autism in January and then ADHD like a few weeks after it. I think it was like the beginning of February. So I kind of had like two very close together assessments and a lot of forms I needed to fill in all at the same time.
I mean, how did that make you feel? I mean, I watched you had a video that you made on YouTube about your autism diagnosis that like it hit, dude. That video hit. That video touched my heart, dude. I related to it very, very like deeply, and like I think it's pretty awesome. Like I mean, so is there any, I guess, how it was, did the ADHD diagnosis hit any different, or like was it just like, oh, is this just like an extra flavor, or like I'm just curious how that landed.
Yeah, so basically I always knew there is something like different, like from when I was a kid. Like I struggled a lot with a lot of things that most kids didn't struggle with. And when I was a teenager, I used to have like a lot of like mood swings and emotional outbursts, and I struggled a lot with like drinking in social situations. I'd always get really, really drunk to mask in social situations, and just like general like misunderstanding of relationships with people when I was a kid. And so like at the time I was like when I was younger, I was like something like is not right here, like, but I didn't know what. Like I genuinely like didn't know what, and I didn't think it was I thought it was like, for a while I thought it was like BPD, like borderline personality disorder, because the symptoms for that and ADHD are very, very similar. Like for a lot of things, they do a lot of overlap. But then like there was just but then like half of the criteria just did not meet, and I didn't really have any like significant childhood trauma other than obviously the fact that I was undiagnosed. And so I knew like for a while that there was something wrong. And then like it was only like a few years ago where I thought like, I think it's a combination of these two things. And it was watching a few different people who were women who were also like autistic and ADHD and combined, because it does present differently, like to both autism and ADHD on their own. So like for example, like I can handle like changes in routine, like which most people who are just autistic by themselves might really struggle with. But like I still have to have a routine. Like I still have to do X, Y, and Z in a day. I just don't need to do it at a specific time and a specific like structure and things like that, where it was like it didn't really fit. But then when you combine them together, you realize actually some of the traits kind of like conflict each other, and that's why it presents differently. And so once I'd kind of set like myself on, I have like both of these things, and I'm pretty convinced that I have both of these things, that's when like I knew to like kind of seek the diagnoses and get like treated for both autism and ADHD. Like the actual like the diagnosis I found a lot easier than the autism one. And the reason why is when you have the autism assessment, they go through a lot of like childhood questions. You brought up a lot about childhood trauma, like So like, for example, when I was a kid, I was really like badly bullied for like being different and being a bit weird. And so we talked a lot about like, you know, people often like, you know, treating me like on the periphery of friendship groups and treating me differently and making out like, and at the time I didn't really realize that people were like making fun of me, but like as an adult I realized actually they were probably taking advantage of me and making fun of me and stuff like that. And so when we're talking through it, like it was quite traumatic. Whereas with the ADHD one, a lot of it was like in the present, and we did talk about stuff like when I was in school, like did I do like specific things, but like it was just talking about the things that I struggle with, and so that like that was a lot easier to talk about, basically.
Oh yeah, I don't know. Like I found like in my experience, the thing that I like about ADHD is that like with autism stuff, I guess like the thing that I've noticed is that like there's not like the actual like treatments for autism, or like I don't know, like go talk to people. I don't know. It's just like it's sometimes, but then with ADHD, it's like no, go take this med, and like I know for me, meds help a lot. They help a lot. Like it's like one of those things where like it's so interesting because I get I hate it sometimes because like on like Facebook I get all these ads that say like don't take Adderall. Adderall's bad for you, and I'm like fuck you ads. Like no, like what? It's the best thing ever. Like it's literally the best thing ever. Like what are you talking about? It's like so good, and like I'm like it's very interesting how like you know different people can kind of tolerate different meds at different times, side effects, all the different things. Cause it's like, I mean, it definitely can help a lot. Right. But then it's like, I mean, so like, have you noticed any improvement over the last 2 months? Like since like you've been like on some sort of like regimen here or like.
Yeah. So I'm taking Elvans at the moment, which is slightly different, I think, to Adderall. And I think it's called Vians in America.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's dextroamphetamine. So
yeah.
Adderall is mostly that. Adderall is 75% dextroamphetamine, and then it's 25% levoamphetamine, which is like it's you know you have this molecule and you have this molecule, right? They're like the left hand and right hand. So dextroamphetamine is the right hand stereoisomer of the amphetamine molecule, and then levoamphetamine is this way. And then like Adderall is essentially the same thing, but like, yeah, it's a little different. It's a little bit different. But so Elvan says it's better. It's actually cleaner. I actually don't like the levoamphetamine molecule as much, but like, how are you liking it? I mean, 2 months is a long time. So
yeah. So I do like it. And it's actually helping quite a lot. Like it's helping for me, like, so one of the things that I really struggled with before is just keeping focus when I find something boring. I hate doing things that I find really boring. And so it's really helped me keep focus on things that I don't want to do, basically. Whereas before, like I'd put it off and then I'd do it like last minute and whereas now like I can do it a bit more like as you go. And the other thing for me is that like I used to have like quite a so this isn't necessarily like related to LinkedIn or anything like that, but like I used to have quite a like struggle with like my relationship with like food. So like I don't know if you know of the like term like food noise and stuff like that, but I used to be quite overweight, and I've had to put a lot of effort into like, you know, being my current size and stuff like that. And whereas now, like I don't really like I still get hungry like when I like need to, but I don't think about food quite a lot. So that's been one of the biggest changes. Like it stopped. And I think from what I understand, like a lot of people with ADHD do actually have like struggles with that, because it's like a dopamine thing of like of like food is like treated similarly to like other types of like
it's like scrolling on TikTok. It's you know, eating candy is scrolling on TikTok, right? It's all just like it's just those little simple pleasures in life, you know, like
but yeah, it's been in that way, it's been really, really useful. And then like I've been really enjoying like working out and keeping to a consistent workout schedule. So I feel so much more like, since starting, I feel so much more like healthy. I think the only thing that I don't think it's doing for me is regulating moods. So I'm trying to look into more like therapies to help with like regulating mood and emotions and stuff like that.
What you should try, one of the things that helped me out a lot, like, because I have been significantly better over the last 2 years. Took me a long time to find this. So like so I found this therapy like 2023. So there's this therapy called craniosacral therapy, which allows your body to kind of because one of the big things that I've noticed, at least in my ADHD journey, is that like the mood dysregulation a lot of the times is actually where like your brain is trying to process the emotions that your body is supposed to feel. And that like there's this disconnect between your head and like your body. And like what craniosacral does is like it's this very interesting like somatic therapy that allows your body to allows your head and body to reconnect. And it really gives you this deeper sense of calm and this deeper sense of like just connectedness, that you're like, oh yeah, I'm not just like a brain in a meat suit, right? I'm a human. Right. And there's like this and I don't know, that was like I did that like especially 2023. I did craniosacral like every week for like 6 months, right? And then in the middle of like 2024 I was like, holy shit, like I haven't had like my dysregulation is just so much better. And that like, I mean, it's still something that I need I don't go every week now. I go like about twice a month. I try to do like about two sessions a month now to like just kind of as like more of a maintenance thing. And like it's amazing. Every time I go, I'm always like, wow, like I forget that like my body has all these like crazy emotions in there that like I'm trying to like think my way through. And that's like literally the worst thing you can do, is like a lot of times you're like, oh my God, I'm feeling bad. And then you're like, oh, I have to tell myself a story about why I'm feeling bad. And then you're like, oh, I'm feeling bad because that girl 3 hours ago, she said something mean to me. And now I'm like, right. But it's like when really what like another way that you can go about it is, oh, I'm feeling bad. Why am I feeling bad? Oh, I'm feeling a sensation in my body, right, that is making me feel bad. Let me give that sensation in my body attention, right? And then if you and see how that's just like a very different like if you do it that way, you don't get these like crazy like spirals, right? These like, because the spirals are the source of this dysregulation, right? And like I don't know, that's been the thing that worked for me, right? And I mean, it may or may not work for you. Your mileage may vary, but it's something you might want to check out. Like,
yeah, definitely. I'll put that on my list. I think at the moment I've signed up to something called neurofeedback therapy, which is something that someone suggested. And I've done a bit of reading on that. Yeah, it's basically it's about it's about handling like criticism, like, because there are going to be like I can handle like constructive criticism fine, like absolutely fine, but it's when it's not like constructive, like someone's like attacking you. And I just feel like in business, like that's just going to happen. And if I want to grow as a business person, like I need to be able to handle being like someone saying, you did that shit. You did that badly. You're not doing a good job, blah, 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 without any sort of like context as to why. I just need to learn how to like deal with that without seeing it as like a attack on me. And
I mean,
like,
hold up, maybe. Like, I mean, part of me, what you're saying right now also feels like almost like capitalism dystopian nightmare, a little bit of like, I got to just put up with people just shitting on me in order to like grow my career. Right. And it's like at the end of the day, like, I think for me, that is a great example of one of the things, because I have been out of corporate for 2 years. Right? It's been 2 years. And I guess when you say that, that's actually something that I'm like the very, very, very first thing in my mind when you said that, I was like, wow, I'm so happy I quit my job. right. There's like, because nowadays it's like, you know what I do when someone does that? I just never talk to them ever again. Right? And it's just like because it's like I don't need them in my business. Like I know that it's like there's enough of a scale, and I have enough of an ability to provide for myself and provide for like what I need to do in my life, that it's like if someone wants to be like super disrespectful, bye. Just bye. Like
Yeah,
done.
no, that's
Done.
fair.
Right. And it's like, but like one of the things that like is interesting about it though, is very, very interesting about it. And I guess, and it's one of the things that I've noticed in particular for me in these situations is where like you see how you're like, okay, constructive criticism, you are okay with and you're fine with. But it's like, you know, hurtful criticism or like non-constructive criticism. Like I love it. Like the one that I love is like when people like just shit on your work and then you're like, thanks for the action. Well, I've said this to like some toxic manager before. I'm like, thanks for the actionable feedback. That's what I say back to them, and they're like, oh, like it's interesting because like they've had varying like degrees of like kind of response to that, but like I think there might be a different route to what your problem here is. At least for me, is that like I view it as more of like the thing that bothers me in those situations is not necessarily like that it's hurtful. It's that I view that I view this person as abusing their power, right? That it's someone, you're in a situation where you see an injustice because you're like, this person is literally like the boss and like they're being an asshole in a way that is not actually improving the business in any way. It's not making the organization better. Literally the only thing it's doing is making me feel bad. Right. And it's like, I don't know. That's where like, I think for me, like I've had like this, like exactly what you're saying, like that feeling of like, oh dude, I hate this. And like, I think for me, that's like literally what happened when I worked at Facebook. Was I had a manager who was like that, who was like, it would happen many, many times. I would be in the morning and then like he would like straight up, I would come in early. Come on. I would be like one of the first people I work because I loved working at Facebook. And then I'd be in there and then my manager come in and then in the morning all the time he'd be like, Zach, you look like shit today. Right. And it's like, bro, like, shut the fuck up. Like, why? Like, why are you saying that? Like, what purpose does that have to solve? Like, you are fucking a director. You make like $2 million a year at Facebook. I'm a junior engineer. Like, and like, come on, man. Like, just like freaking be a little bit more professional. And ultimately, that guy, like, and just like that, like disrespect was something that I felt pretty powerless over because I was like, I raised this to HR and they're like, we don't give a fuck. Right. And I was like, okay, well then bye. Right. And then I was like, see you later, alligator. I'm not gonna work here. Like, and it's like there's a side of it that's like I think there's two sides of it, right? There's one side of it that I think there is like if you find yourself being overly sensitive, right? Where you're like, if it's like if you feel like it's like but at the same time you want to trust your emotional gut about things, right? You're like, because a lot of times, like if someone says something to you and it makes you feel bad, there's a reason, there's a truth there as well, right? So it's hard. It's a very hard thing. I'm curious what your thoughts are.
I think the biggest challenge for me is just making sure like if like I do get that criticism that I handle it okay, like regardless like of whether or not I speak to them again in the future, I do not react in the moment and start spiraling in the moment.
And you don't burn every single bridge around you.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. You don't just like, just start like shouting at people and getting really upset. And so for me, I think that's the main thing I meant more like it's not necessarily like that relationship, like whoever it is. It's just more my dealing with criticism in and outside of work is
I mean, RSD is hard, dude. That rejection sensitive dysphoria and that just like painful like feeling that you get in these situations is like, for me, that's like I still feel like that is my number, because that's like the one thing that Adderall doesn't solve. It's like it's still there. It's just there, and it's just like I used to take a different thing. I feel like back when I don't take this med anymore because I'm not in corporate anymore, so I don't feel like I need to take it because I just freaking like I don't feel like I'm as much of like a loose fuse. There's another med called clonidine. It's because a lot of times there's actually it's a it's a physiological thing. RSD is not just a psychological thing, it's a physiological thing as well, related to like your blood pressure and how your blood and like everything is pumping through your body. And so clonidine is like this interesting, it's like a blood pressure med that kind of lowers your blood pressure a little bit, that allows for your body to process, a rejection in a less like fight and flight way. And I found that to be, marginally effective. It wasn't great, but it also, I noticed that it helped, but it's not like it wasn't like, thanks doc, I'm cured, but it's like like it blunted it a little bit. It made it more manageable, right? And sometimes that's all you need, is you need 5 seconds to breathe, 10 seconds to breathe, and then like sometimes that can get you back into like a phase of like, okay, I'm not gonna do something I regret right now, like.
Yeah, and it really is related to that like inability to feel your body, and that was a really big thing when I was getting diagnosed. They kept asking me questions on like, how do you feel when you're happy and angry? And I'm like, just feel like apparently people feel it in their body, and I'm like, I don't, what?
Yeah, you're like, holy shit, like that's crazy, right? Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's definitely like it's a very interesting thing. So like, I mean, it sounds like things are looking up. Things are on the on the upward trend here. Like, I mean, have you noticed how this has like impacted you at work? Like, do you feel like you are more productive and over the last 2 months, or like you feel happier and more like in tune with your purpose at work as well? Or like how is that how do you think meds and this situation has impacted you in that space?
It's hard to say because we've recently just moved on to a new project, which before I wasn't really invested in what we were previously doing. Whereas this project I'm quite interested in, but I also don't know if it's just because I'm interested in this project because I'm more focused as well. So it's hard to say, but like I think for me it's just more like I said earlier, like being able to do more of the things that I don't enjoy doing but need doing without like putting them off. I think that's been really, really good. It's my skill, like I guess my biggest skill set, like that I think has helped me get to where I am, is I'm very good at like pattern recognition and like system like flows, understanding how like things tie together. And so it's made me very good at like understanding business requirements and understanding various flows and pointing out like gaps and pointing out suggested flows. And so like I think to a certain level that works really well. You can get to a certain level and that works really well. But I think that the more senior you get to, the more like boring stuff you have to do that's around the edges.
I mean, yeah. I mean, well, or like it's very interesting. It's very interesting because it's like, I don't know, like everything that you're saying, literally everything that you're saying is just things that like I feel like, if I was talking to you 2 years ago and we were having a podcast 2 years ago, I'd be like, yep. And I would just be like, yeah, that's right. That's how life works. And then, but now I don't know. Now I'm like, or you can just quit your job and be a full-time creator and only have fun, but not really. I mean, I feel like I still suffer, but like, I feel like it's different though. Cause it's like, I don't know, like, doing taxes and like, I don't know, like, firing people sucks. I'm telling you, that's definitely one of the things that I do not like as a neurodivergent person, is I don't like letting people go. That's like a very like, it's like a hard, it always feels like something that I'm not really ready for. But okay, so you're a senior engineer at Microsoft. You've been a senior engineer for about a year now, a little bit longer than a year based on your LinkedIn. This pulled up. So you got a senior engineer completely undiagnosed. Okay,
yeah.
that's amazing. I mean that's freaking awesome. I mean, if you think about just like, so I agree that like, so I would imagine that like for you, you have a very similar kind of archetype to me in this way, is that like your work is probably one of the areas that you kind of don't need meds and stuff as much to like do well, because it's like that's the interesting space, right? That's like the space that like actually like, you know, you're like there's dopamine to spare there, right? There's not, it's not like doing your laundry. Is doing your laundry like the final boss? I feel like for me it's like if I can like put it in the washer and then put it in the dryer in the same day, I'm like, let's go. I feel like I'm like the god king of the universe, and I'm always like, and I know that like it's also very basic, but at the same time, it's always the final boss for me every single time, and I don't know why. It feels like there's something about it being so async that I lose it. It's the whole out of sight, out of mind thing, and I'm like, it's gone, right?
Well, my partner does the laundry, to be fair.
Lucky.
He doesn't like, he has a very specific thing. Like he has specific rules on like what constitutes as colors and what constitutes as whites and blacks and darks. And I'm like, you know, like,
yeah.
And sometimes these rules don't make sense to me, because I'm like, that's gray, and you're telling me no, it's colors. And
yeah.
So
like, I don't even know how
leave
to
it to him.
I'm like, I'm gonna leave this to you, because I'm not gonna like put a gray in a color and it's like a white, and then get mad, and then you're mad at me, right? Because I destroy your favorite shirt, right?
So he does the washing, and I do like a lot of the more other stuff. So like cooking, like picking up kids and sorting out the like childcare and things like that. So it's a good split. And I think because we both are quite we're both very career driven as well, so then you know, he knows that it's important for us to have a good balance at home as well.
That's great. I mean, that sounds really, really good. That sounds like a good balanced, caring, awesome partnership, I guess. That's freaking cool.
But I hate hoovering. And so I have a cleaner as well, like on once a week.
Okay, I just,
and then we have a robot hoover as well.
Okay. Cool. I had never heard the word hoovering before. That's like, it's vacuum in America. All right. But yes, like I get what you mean. Like my dog hates it. Oh yeah, that's like she literally hates it. Like it's like that's like literally that's the one, like she's not scared of anything except for that. Like it's amazing. And I'm always like, why dog? Like you'll even take down like a dog that's twice your size, but no, this vacuum, that's the end of it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, do you have any like sensory stuff like in your symptom set, like of things that just like bother you?
Yeah, so I've got a really big one actually. I hate the feeling of air. So like I like hate the feeling of air on my skin. So like if it's windy, I hate the feel of it. I like if I like get like a shower or a bath or something, like, and I get dry like afterwards, I have to put clothes on like straight away. Like I really don't like the feel of air on my skin. And then it's for me, it's like background noise. So like just say like you're in a meeting room and the door's open, that I find really, really distracting. And then like bright lights, like if the lighting's really like bright, then I really don't like that either. So they're the main ones. And textures of food as well, like no.
Yeah, textures of food. Is there any specific food that you're like definitely not?
Raw tomatoes.
Holy shit, really, no way. Really raw? Really?
Yeah.
Same. Like
yeah,
totally.
I can't stand them.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was a kid as well, like I used to try and like train myself to like certain foods, like and I remember like sitting there for like 20 minutes with this like cheese and tomato sandwich at school and trying to put it in my mouth, and I just could not do it. I had to throw it in the bin.
You're like, be brave.
And so like, so that's the main one. And then you know, like things like really soggy like foods, like cooked aubergine and eggplant, like and zucchini, things like that, like when they're like overcooked and stuff.
Oh yeah. No one likes like a flaccid zucchini, bro. Like definitely not. Like
yeah.
I mean, okay. So I'm curious, like I found that like having, you know, ADHD, one of the areas in my career that's hard to grow is just like, is when it depends on who my manager is. Like I can have a good manager or a bad manager or an average manager. And I feel like for me, I think I have to have a good manager. Otherwise I have a bad manager, which is not always the case, right? Because sometimes you just have an average manager, you know, just like, but I'm curious, like, do you have any techniques or tools that you use that like, that like make you have a better, like connection with your managers so that, you know, because that nurturing that relationship is like literally like one of the most important things to grow your career.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one of the things for me was like I guess people have always been quite a special interest of mine, of like connecting with people and communicating with people. So I think for me, it's always been like understanding how does my manager think and receive information, and that has been the biggest help for me. So like for example, like I read a book called Managing Humans, which really helped me. It's like a book about different types of software, like engineers and how they think. But the thing that really stood out to me is like people like tend to be like either like very fluid or very process orientated. And understanding whether someone's fluid or process orientated really helped me, because it really helped me know how to deliver information to that person, even if like I'm a lot more fluid. You know, like I think a lot of people with ADHD are a bit more fluid. I like a little bit of structure from like the autism side, but I definitely like to do things a bit more on the fly. And realizing actually, if I've got a manager who is a bit more process orientated and I don't give them information in that way, then I'm not going to progress. You know, they're not going to like think, they're going to think that I'm chaotic. And so I need to at least try and meet them halfway and give them information in the way that they want to receive it. So for me, it really was about understanding, okay, like just say you have a one-to-one with them. What are if they keep asking me stuff and I'm not giving them in the way that they want, what is it that they're wanting me to do? So like, for example, something that I tried to do with my manager is I tried to give him text updates a little bit as well, because he's a lot more process oriented than I am. And that really helps him understand where I'm at with things.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So I'm curious, like, so you got promoted to senior engineer. Like what did your project look like? Did you have like some sort of big impact that you did that got you to senior engineer?
Yeah, so to be fair, I'm not able to share too much about the projects that I work on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was basically I did a lot of the design and architecture of that project. And I did a lot of the backlogging as well, because we were without a product owner for a while, because our product owner retired, and then we were like a few months without one, and so our backlog needed a lot of work to it because it was a bit of a mess. And so I did a lot of that. I did a lot of the like architecting and the requirements for that project, and that's ultimately I think what like. And then not just like, one thing that you find with being a senior is it's not just about like the actual projects that you're working on. It's about what you do outside of the project and the team that you're in as well. So I was leading like an initiative inside of our department that allowed you to like that was all focused on bringing the like our like crews together and creating like a community type feel. So I was leading that as well as on top of the architecture stuff on that particular project.
And I mean, I think the big thing there for people listening is that like it's like I've had that same thing happen actually. Like for me, it was like where like sometimes like when you're in these corporate roles, what happens is like for me, what happened when I was at Netflix, because I was a senior engineer for 1 year, and I got promoted to staff in 1 year, and it was like crazy. Because I needed to be senior longer. I needed to cook as senior longer. That was actually a mistake. I should not have been promoted. But what happened was the other engineer on my team, he changed teams. So then there was like this open role for his old stuff, and they were taking forever to hire that person. So then eventually my manager was like, Zach, you should take this role. And I was like, at the time I was like, what? I was like, okay, I guess I'll try it out. And like, but it's like, just like what you were saying is that like, sometimes like you get to these opening situations, and it's like, are you down to step up to the challenge? Are you down to like, take, because that was a growth area for you, right? When you took ownership of this new area where this guy who retired, like, and did you feel like you were growing when you took over that project?
So it's a bit of an interesting one, because obviously before I joined Microsoft, I was like a lead engineer like more like a startup company. So as part of that company, I was doing the backlogging, I was doing a lot of the design, I was doing a lot of the
Tap it, or
sorry?
was it Tap It?
Yeah, Tap It. Yeah, Tap It. So I was doing a lot of that for that particular product that I was working on. So really, it was just about having the opportunity to showcase that I had those skills. Like, unfortunately, I think when I don't know, like, whether or not I could have like pushed for like a senior when I joined Microsoft. There was only hiring for SE2s at the time, but like, I feel like I was potentially already, like, when I started working at the level above, I think. But it's just a case of, do you have the opportunity a lot of the time? And even if you don't have the opportunity, if there is a gap, you need to really use that gap to showcase the skills that you've got, because if you don't find those gaps, then like, if you're just working at the current level, they're not going to promote you. So I think a lot of it was just me. I already had those skills. I just needed to showcase them, if that makes sense.
Definitely. And I think you're also kind of you fell into this kind of area of the whole lagging promotions, right? Where it's like you have to exhibit those skills for a year before they promote you to that level, which is like, oh, dude, that's one of the things about big tech that drives me up a wall. It's a freaking, because in a startup, that's not how it works. A startup, it's not how it works. If you're exhibiting the next level behaviors in 3 months, you'll get promoted. Like, or even 3 to 6 months, you're going to get promoted, right? But like, I mean, but they have all these processes and everything in but these companies. But like, I think that's one of the things that's important, because again, I think this is another neurodivergence things that can happen that is important, that I've noticed in my career, was that like when I was in that situation where I'm in this kind of like, I'm like, I already have the skills. Same thing happened for me. When I joined Facebook, I had 2 years of experience, and I got hired in a junior, right? I was like, L3, like literally like junior engineer. And like, I thought that was great because it was way more money. I mean, I went from like 80K to 180K. So I was like, I don't give a shit that it's junior. Okay, whatever. But then I realized later, I was like, wait a minute. I actually probably qualified for mid-level even at that point, right? And like, I was like, dude, this is, but when you have this, like, I think one of the things that can happen, and this is another thing with like neurodivergent stuff that I noticed, is that like when you're experiencing this sense of, justice, the sense of like this, like, you're like, I'm being treated unfairly, right? I'm being treated unfairly, and I need to like get out, or I need to like that. Like, for me, I notice it's like, it gets me into this, like, I get like all schemy, and I'm like, all right, I have to like get creative, and I have to like, I don't know, I have to interview, I have to leave, I have to do different things to like get out of this unfair situation. When like, because it's like, I don't know, it's hard for me, like when I feel I'm being treated unfairly, and it's like, oh no, that's just the company process. And I'm like, well, so the process is unfair. I don't know. And I'm like, and so it's like, it's not just that I'm being treated unfairly. They have it. That's how they treat every engineer. They treat every engineer unfairly. And then it's like, oh, like, but then it's like, I don't know. Now that I've been on the other side and I hire engineers, I understand it a little bit more. I understand like why they do these things and why these things are kind of more in place. I don't think I would have the same like 1 year requirement, because 1 year is a very long time. But like, there's this, it's definitely interesting. Like, I mean, because like neurodivergence and ADHD has that strong sense of justice, which I think is useful and helpful. and good overall. But I think it can have these certain situations where, like, if you're in certain moments, it can be problematic. And I think that's why I ended up rage quitting Facebook. The combination of like feeling like I was underpaid, and then the bullying manager, the guy who was saying I was looking like shit every day. I was like, all right, bye. I don't need to be here anymore. Even though I loved it. I loved everything else about that company. I loved every other minute about the company, but I was like, this is too much. Right. And so definitely, like, it was a lot. Like,
yeah, and I definitely like have had like moments in the past at previous companies where, like, you know, my strong sense of justice is kicked in. I'm like, right, I don't want to work here anymore, and I don't want to quit. But yeah, I've had to kind of learn to take a moment, like, and walk, like, just to cool down and be like, no, you're fine, Jade. You just need to let your justice sensitivity like get to grips with whatever it is that I'm mad about at the time. Yeah, I'm quite happy, like, with, I kind of understand it, like, from the company's point of view of, like, you know, really, like, a lot of the time they have quite a lot of like really good engineers who are all like who are all doing really, really well. And unfortunately, like, you know, when you've got a lot of senior people, you can only promote so many people who are like, principals and stuff like that. And so, like, I can understand why that's challenging from a company point of view of like who to promote and how to promote, like, especially like when it gets above like the senior level, because like typically I think you can kind of promote anyone like to senior, like, and you know, without, like, it doesn't really matter like if you've got more seniors in the team. But then
it doesn't change
when
the
you get
leadership
to
structure. It doesn't change the
No.
leadership structure, right? So yeah, it makes sense why the first, like, junior, mid-level, senior is just like, it's like, okay, it's only a matter of like, okay, we need to pay this person a little bit more, but like it doesn't actually change the team dynamics very much, right?
Yeah, whereas when it gets to like principal and principal lead and stuff like that in other companies as well, you typically only have one per team. And so, like, you kind of, it's not just about whether or not you're like achieving that level, it's about whether or not there's a business need for it, which I get.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Like, and I mean, it's very interesting how, like, there's all these things, because there's like, there's a side of ADHD and the side of this that gives you that pattern recognition, and like it gives you this ability to like see patterns and build your career, and like it can really actually accelerate things. I mean, just looking at your career, like, you also have had like a pretty freaking rad career, like, just like looking at like how like you've been like what has, you know, transpired for you, you know, and it's like pretty awesome, you know. And so like
It's
Yeah,
I find it interesting because obviously, like, I came from a very, very low income background, and I grew up quite poor, and I do not believe that I would have the kind of career that I do if I wasn't like autistic with ADHD. I do not believe it, because really I think that for me, like, learning and logic and puzzles and stuff like that has always been like a special interest. I've come to realize, like, it's something that I'm really, really interested in doing. And so actually that's the thing that's actually made me like good at my job and like be able to like do things quickly and solve things quickly because of that. So that's been a really interesting revelation for me.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much. That's freaking amazing. That's like, I think that's the, like, it's like you found your place, you know, you found the place that you can flex your strength, right? And that's like, and I think that's one of the things that's beautiful about this world, is that, like, one of the things that's hard about being neurodivergent and growing up in it is that you feel like alone, you feel out of place, right? You feel like definitely like an alien, like, I don't know. And that like, I think one of the things that can happen for a lot of these people is like, if you can find a space where you are able to take like your special interests and like your unique skills and passions, like, and use them like for good, and use them for, you know, to earn an income and earn prosperity, like, that's freaking awesome. You have a very, very inspiring story, Jade. This has been wonderful. I've loved every minute of this conversation. Like I'm gonna put your one second, let me get your LinkedIn up here. Let's get the or you got, is it Jade Codes? Is that your YouTube? Jade
Yeah,
Codes? Yeah, we're gonna we'll just throw them both up here real quick. So we got this guy. This is gonna be Jade Codes. Is gonna be, it's like Jade Dash Codes, it looks like. And that's also your, it looks like it's both. Okay, good. You're consistent. I'm glad you're consistent. All right.
Yeah, it's either Jade, like basically Jade Codes, but it's either _, dash, or dot, depending on the platform, just because platforms have different rules.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, you can't have a dash on some different platforms. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Amazing. We have 1 second. Let's get Maria here. Hey Maria, how's it going?
Hello.
Welcome.
Awesome. Good to see you.
Yeah, good. Nice seeing you too. Yeah. So this is Jade. Jade is just finishing up her session here.
Yeah, I follow you on LinkedIn. Love your content, Jade. Thank you.
Right, it's so good, so good. I mean, dude, we only got we got 4 hours left, y'all. I've done this 20 hours straight now. All right, we're going.
Oh my God.
All right, this is freaking madness, but we are definitely going. Hey, how's it going, Jocko?
Hey guys, am I loud and clear?
Yeah, I hear you.
Awesome.
Yes.
It's going great. How are you, Zach?
Doing. I would say I'm a little bit tired. Oh wait, I have to. Oh, it's like I have to kill the stream because it's 6 segments. So and this is